very similar.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
in
Like a
terms
lot
of
of Dark Souls' DNA comes from Demon Souls, but at the same time, it's refined to a point that most people would say like it's not fair to say that like Dark Souls is the one that truly did popularize the whole thing. It's probably why everything's named after it.
yeah.
Even though Souls technically, Dark Souls is still the one that everyone's like, there you go. Most people say to start with Dark Souls, and it's like, why not start with Demon Souls? And a lot of people would argue Demon Souls is a bit too. Is the word esoteric? Where it's
Um,
like, yeah, kind of.
yeah,
It's esoteric's a word that's kind of useful for this, but
yes.
it's
Like niche.
kind of. The only thing is it got remastered, and so that one I'm pretty sure is much easier to consume than the original. But I remember like there's a vibe, right? When a friend recommends a video game and then they say like, "Well, wait, don't play it without when you're gonna play it, let me know and I'll get you all the right mods and I'll let you know the few things you need to know before going in." Just be like, "Oh, that's a little bit
I
off-putting, right?"
Yeah, I try to avoid that sort of thing unless it's like really important. If there is actually like there is one or two really big things you need to know before you go in, um, but usually that isn't like an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Normally when people go into a game, I just let them go in, let it wash all over them, let them get the experience. But sometimes there's that like one or two things that just for their sake you want to be like, yeah, just do one or two things real quick. Change this setting to that, or bind that one key, and then go in. You're like, trust me. But you
Yeah.
don't want to like spoil the experience.
Well, like
You're saying when you reach the skeleton guy with the spear, make sure that you do the this
put
and
this
then
ring
that.
on, otherwise you
Put
fuck up the
that
whole
ring
game.
on, but only on your left hand. It's important.
And well, yeah, and if there's only one of those, it's fine. But yeah, if there's like loads, like a laundry list, you're kind of like, I don't know, man. At that point, maybe just I'll play someone else. Because Fallout New Vegas, I think if ever anyone goes to play that, right, isn't there like a very big list of recommended mods?
There probably is. That's a game that I would just say people can go into as it is, though. Um, but yeah, I'm certain there's tons of good, mods for it. I know there is. I mean, it's a Bethesda game. There's going to be great mods for it.
Yeah,
Um,
as far as I'm aware, it still works without mods, right? The game, it's
yeah. If someone was to say, Rags, you sure are playing a lot of RimWorld. Boy, that sure looks like fun. I'm gonna play RimWorld. I'll say, you bet. I'm glad you're playing RimWorld. Great game. Here's like 3 mods I think you should start out with though. You should get P Music RimWorld, whatever. And just go download those mods. They're just little quality of life little things, and then go for it, and then just tailor your experience to whatever you want after that.
hmm. The world of video games. Am I right?
Boy, I sure do love video games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but also welcome to EFAP episode 254.
Wow. Every frame of pause.
We're
Episode
pausing. We're going to be
254.
pausing. It's
We've
going to be
come
crazy.
so far.
Our guest for this wonderful episode is none other than Solar Sands, a lad who's been around in the LeafApp chat for a while and became relatively, I guess, relevant to the episode 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. When we were talking about some art things, one of his videos were actually covered by a person who was being covered by another person that we were covering. It's a bit of a confusing tale. But I said at the time we'll try and get you on, have your own episode so we can chat with you about maybe art, maybe your experiences on the old YouTubes, and maybe we could check out the video, the very video that Charlie was watching to better understand why Kincaid might very well be the most hated artist that we probably recognize, as the title goes. Welcome, welcome, sir. How you doing?
Hello. Hi.
Yes, hi. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. I've been watching for about 4 years or so, and
Wow.
kind of crazy that I'm on because of this whole thing. I run an art channel, basically. I make little art documentaries. Some people might call them video essays.
My God.
I don't know about. I just consider them videos of things I like to talk about, but some people call them that, so I guess I call them that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been doing it for about 7 years now. I like to think I'm
Me too.
I know about. Yeah, I like to think I know a lot about art, or art history, and
Mm,
yeah. So I guess I want to go a little bit into a little preamble on
do
the
it.
video you guys reacted to and the video I made. So basically, um, Thomas Kincaid is an interesting character to me. He's he's outside of the art world, but he's also, well, he was outside of the art world. Is extremely financially successful, but there's also this kind of controversial figure. And that the video we're gonna watch goes into that. The guy who talked about the video, um, the one who was responding to Charlie,
Ethan is
kind
online.
yeah, Ethan is online. He kind of missed the point of the video, which was fascinating to me since he seems to have watched it. Um,
Well,
so
he's the photons got to his eyes. I don't know what happened after that.
Complicated.
uh, yeah, but he tried to defend modern art essentially, or I mean,
An
so
attempt was
there's
made.
yeah, there's this period called modern art, which is like from the 60s to the 70s, but we're past that now. So people call it contemporary art. I think would be like the more quote unquote accurate term, but everybody says modern art anyway. So and everybody knows what you mean. So, so that's that. But he did not really do. There's ways to defend modern art, and he didn't really do any of that. He didn't make the arguments I would have made, or that I think anyone who's being better faith would have made.
Well,
So,
that's why
so
we brought up a few things here and there that were like, pieces of what would be considered modern art that we think is actually like pretty valuable and took a lot of introspection to create compared to like, a white canvas. Because there has to be
yeah,
categories or limits or borders in some ways, otherwise nothing is going to have any way of distinguishing
yeah,
between each other. And we tried to go through each of the categories. Like you can have great works of art that have very to little meaning, maybe injected by the artist, like they're just expressing maybe their skill. But then you could have the vice versa of someone who's like, I just have an apple, but man, I got a big story to tell you about why I'm holding this apple, and you're just like, okay, and I guess changing those levels, how does that work, and what does it mean, and admitting there's a complexity to it, but at the same time, the video we watched felt like a bitter response to the idea that, like, a skilled painting, it's like, that's not really even art, but this, the fan, that's truly art, because it's encased in plastic and it has this huge amount of lore, and it's like, okay.
It came
right.
across as this very reactionary, anti-traditional, anti-classical attitude towards what we consider to be generally like the works of antiquity or any sort of laudation of skill or talent or technique.
Yeah, exactly. It's very. I think I would say like kind of a false binary to me. But like, yeah, essentially yeah, that's exactly correct. There's like plenty
I
of
like this
works
guess.
of modern. There's plenty of modern works, modern art, examples that I could point to that I think are just better in terms of like more accessible other stuff. The history of art from like the 50s till today, it's a lot of artists, doing things to see what sticks. I can put it like that. For example, there's like basically everything that you could think of has been done. Like a slash canvas has been in a museum. The famous Duchamp's urinal. Of course, there's even been a art gallery of invisible sculptures. So,
Oh.
Oh,
do
did
they
they get
so
their money
yeah,
back?
do they have like
I don't,
labels at least?
I don't remember if they have labels, but it was just a lot of empty rooms.
Yeah.
So that's happened.
I hope they
So
got a refund then.
there is a there is a lot of just art bam, I guess. Like putting things together. Okay, has this been done? Well, let's do that. There's kind of that stuff, but there's also a lot of good stuff. Um, and Mahler, you made a comment that was kind of funny. You said Jackson Pollock's brother. Like, oh, what if he made some sort of a analogy? Jackson Pollock actually did have a brother. His name was
Okay.
Charles Pollock. And he was a color field painter. He's not as well known. So I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was funny.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't make drip paintings. He makes like paintings that are big blogs, big blocks of color, just canvas. So it falls kind of under the abstract expressionist. So yeah, that's about it for my preamble. If you guys have any specific questions
Well,
about
probably
what you guys watch,
the video will be good for a vehicle for that, right? So to sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
jump in here and there for different things. Out of
sure.
curiosity, because you said, as you said, you've seen the show for some time. How did you find EFAP? Every frame a pause, and
Oh,
out of curiosity, what about the show do you find
do you
interesting?
want me to retell the story, sort of?
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to speak to you for about, I don't know, 10 minutes before we started up, and I
Yeah.
figured when I was listening to you, I was like, oh shit, we've probably done this live a little bit, like, because people are gonna want to
Okay.
hear what you, because it's
Yeah,
funny to
sure.
see how people meet up, you know?
Yeah, I can say. So basically, I first heard about Mahler's channel, um, probably a Twitter thread or something like that, and it said, "Don't watch these videos. There's movie analysis from an alt-right perspective." So for that reason, I kind of avoided your channel initially for I don't know, like a month or so. But eventually, I think this was a bit after The Last Jedi came out. One of your videos got recommended to me,
Mm-hmm.
The Force Awakens, and I was like, "Man, this is a really long video. I'm very curious how someone can make an alt-right perspective video this long and this detailed." Um, and then I watched it. It grabbed my attention. I watched it for a few hours, and I was like, "Oh, this is just a normal
It's
analysis
just
video."
nerdy, yeah. That's kind of the idea, anyway.
He's just going into extreme detail on this film franchise I like. I don't know what they were talking about.
Well, it was weird,
And
like
then
trying to approach storytelling without having a bias in real life, so to speak, to draw from, to instead try to just simply talk about how it connects within and of itself in terms of established stuff. I remember at one point, I can't remember which YouTuber it was, but one of them said, like, that's a very right-wing point of view. And I was like, why would you cede looking at whether or not things make sense to the right wing? That's a weird,
That's
like...
a weird. I'm sure they appreciate that.
It's
I
like,
guess.
all right, fine, we'll take it. It's like, oh.
yeah, exactly. The movie reviewers I tended to watch before you. Well, this was like a decent amount of time before, like a few years. I watched like in middle school, I watched the Nostalgia Critic a lot.
Yeah, a classic. I mean, to be honest
Uh,
with you, anybody who's watching film reviews back when YouTube was started up, a lot of them would have been watching Nostalgia Critic because he's known as
He's
being...
one of the older ones. Yeah, he's one of the
It's,
kind of pioneers in a sense.
well, it's something that I think is unfair. A lot of people say when you bring up AVGN that you have to respect the guy because he essentially started up like an industry on YouTube, and it's like, okay, but can we say the same for Nostalgia Critic then, please? Give him the respect. He came in early. He did his stuff. Look at him go, making skits. Inspired everyone. He
uh,
practically determined the format for another like billion different content creators. So undeniable.
basically. Yeah, I unironically love him a little bit. I think
He's a
I
goober.
don't know how well.
Did you
I don't know.
did you see we checked out his, I think it was on the
Never
anniversary,
mind, mate.
his
Talk about
his
it.
video on the section of a video on The Lion King 2019 where he said like we've gotta appreciate that we need these movies in order to
Oh
have good
yeah,
content or whatever. It's like what
no,
the hell?
I don't think
Well,
he's very good
remember,
at having consistent takes or even like
No.
being good at analysis. But I love this. He's so unique. I love
Yes.
when what he plays makes fun of him. He makes me laugh he's gotten me to laugh a few times. I watched one of his videos just to see what they're like, and I was like, okay, there's a funny joke. The first minute of this. I'm not gonna watch anymore, but this is a he got me to laugh once at this end. So
As someone
yeah,
in
but I love
in chat
yeah.
just said, I was so hyped for To Boldly Flee, and I have no shame for that. Nor should you. That was a cinematic event, and many gathered around for that. I think we're going to try and watch those at some point. That's going to be wild.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
The
great.
the Channel Awesome movies. There's like 4 of them or something.
Oh,
I
I had
missed
no
those.
idea.
And To Boldly Flee has got like famous production issues of people like suffering to create it, and like it broke apart Channel Awesome. It's just like, what the fuck? It's like a bunch of nerds getting together to just film some skits, and it has this like controversial shit behind it. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. But yeah, so not Nostalgia Critic, and eventually I started watching Your Movie Sucks,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is closer to your content, definitely.
Yeah.
And eventually the Plinkett reviews and Red Letter Media. And then I watched yours, and your channel was different because it was less like um okay, here's these general guidelines that may or may not work. They're like ocean based, and yours was more like this contradicts this contradicts that, this blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, I like this style analysis more because we can say definitively when something isn't working or is working, like mechanically. And I like to think I have more, a mind that likes measurement and is precise myself. But I do like that kind of standard that you set up. And that's
Yeah,
why
it's not
I
just
watch this
floaty. I
channel.
feel this. I feel that. Well, there's something that's grounded to it. Yeah, something that you could actually explain to people other than this is how I felt when I watched this thing. You can actually point to its attributes. You can describe them to people. You can sort of share information in a way.
Yeah, so it's supposed to
Yeah,
be verifiable beyond your point of view, right? Like, definitively.
exactly.
That's over there, and it doesn't make sense with that thing, right? You don't go like, oh, I think it makes sense. That's how I feel. It's like, wait, what? Even though that does happen, to be fair. And to be fair, you
And
could have
so
been wrong about it not making sense because you lack information, but that's the process, I suppose.
Well, and if you are wrong with something, then you have more to work with than, oh, I feel you're wrong.
Yeah.
yeah, I watch a lot of I've watched a decent chunk of video essays now on movies and stuff, and I do think there's certainly this tendency for a video essay to have this, grand, weighty,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
insightful message
What did
with
we
it.
learn,
And
sort of thing.
yeah, and I think they get weighed down a lot by that because it just becomes uh, just this oversaturated emotional.
I think it becomes
Oh boy.
self-parody at one point, right? Because the formula gets set. There's a lot of channels on YouTube that understand perfectly. You need it to be about 20 to 30 minutes. First half, like explaining, how this all happened, where it all came from, and then just some kind of emotional core that you have to figure out. I can't remember who it was, but there was a YouTuber who said like it's ruined it at this point because like weekly they just watch a new movie, and the one goal they have when watching it is you've got to figure out maybe not even a theme, but just something from the film. Like if you watch Iron Man and you're just like, what do we take from? Always stand up for yourself. I don't know. Always be strong. Always change your mind when you need to, or something. That'll work. And then they end up like pumping videos out so often that are supposed to have like a profound message. It'll start to become parody, and they're oftentimes quite funny. That's what ends up happening when we cover them. We're just like, Iron Man is about understanding that there's so much more to the world than just money. And you're like, wait, what? Like, is that even what Iron Man's about? I don't even like.
And then it's the dramatic pauses, the text on screen, the almost like they're gonna break down into
Empathy.
tears.
Yeah, and they'll have like a invented story about how their grandpa used to tell them that money's the only thing that matters, but then
Yeah,
the
they'll just
grandma
lie.
said,
It's what they'll do. They'll just tell lies about
When
their life.
before or after the Raid Shadow Legends ad.
yeah, that's more on. More on
Speaking
that.
of a life that's beyond money, let me introduce you to our sponsor, Raid Shadow
Yeah, do you know Red
Legends.
Shadow Legends is one of the most ambitious RPGs?
And there's that ukulele or whistling sound. It's like, oh.
Yeah, but it's the what's it? The kazoo? The
Yeah,
they're
probably.
playing the Raid Shadow Legends theme.
And it's like, how the hell did we get here? And it's like, well, because once upon a time there were people who influenced these people who were doing it legitimately, genuinely, and had something to say about a thing. But it's like everything else, the iterations become so like weird eventually. Because like even people like High Top are aware of their own styles, and they're just like, ah, fuck it, I'm just doing it anyway. And like, sound like on the verge of tears each video. And you're just like, you okay?
But yeah, it's just when that happens every time.
Yeah, it becomes too much.
Yeah, I think this can like relate to art history a lot because people have this idea that art history is okay. Tell us what the painting made you feel. Do this interpretation and stuff. But in actual like academic art history and art analysis, you don't do a lot of that. You actually have to basically they actually discourage you from how'd this make you feel? They tell you analyze what's actually there, make conclusions based on what is in the painting, what is here. Do your research on like what the historical context of this is, at your sources, etc., etc. And that makes, that's like a much stronger way to analyze something other than, this is what this reminds me. I do some of the this is what this reminds me of. Oh, this is what I feel about it on the channel because it's a lot more of a free YouTube thing. But
Well, and it reminds
I'm
everybody you're human, which is a good bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what YouTube is for, but I think people are taking it way too far. Like I'm really trying to make an effort these days to um make a very comprehensive list of all the references and sources I have in a text document because it's a lot more organized and you can link back to what you have. And even this video I made here is like very little of my like strictly my interpretation or opinion. It's more of a accounting what happened with this man's life and his paintings.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's kind of our thing today was going to be to check it out so that we can get a good idea of maybe why everybody hates him. There are people who hate him because for anybody who doesn't remember, when we were covering the video with Critical having seen it, Critical thought it was going to be about other artists that are more known for their splatters or how should I put it, controversial paintings in the sense of like, what the fuck is this? But the reality is, of course, that Thomas Kincaid is making images that might be associated with very much high quality to anyone who's not familiar with what he gets up to and why in the industry surrounding it and stuff. And so the video, as I understand it, is to try and provide context for that.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Ethan is online kind of took it a different direction of like, it's all soulless work that doesn't have any meaning and the art is supposed to be about... Because it's so funny, he lets you know right at the beginning of his video, he's like, I used to think like you, but then I grew up. It's like, oh, okay.
But then I went to the art gallery.
I understood.
Yeah. And I learned to appreciate the banana taped to the wall.
Well, the greatest irony of the whole video, I think we pointed this out a couple times, was that he's like, you need to actually, think deeper, think more, and understand how it makes you feel, when he told us again and again that what made him appreciate any piece of artwork is being told by the creator what to think about it. Which, by the way, I'm more than happy to include context from the creator when checking out a piece of artwork. I have no problem with that. It's just that it's difficult, I think, to argue from a position of the value of art is coming strictly from reading the flavor text. It shouldn't be from the thing itself alone or whatever, and it's like, holy shit, there's so many pieces of art in the world that I find, like, fascinating or mind-blowing, and I didn't require an artist to tell me what it means, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, I know this video pretty well since I made it, so...
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if I'm going to do a lot of pausing. If you guys want to say something.
Presumably you're familiar with the show, and at that point we're probably just going to talk about things that come to mind, and...
All right.
Yeah, this video... wait, I've loaded up the right one, I think, right?
This
most
is Big
hated...
Buck Bunny. That's the right one, yeah.
Yeah, Big Buck Bunny.
I really like Big... It's really good. It's really good.
Big Buck Bunny
Big
is
Chungus,
underrated.
but,
Yeah. What's interesting here is
okay.
that the video is called "The Most Hated Artist You Probably Recognize." I put it into Watch Together, and the preview description, or is it the description that says "To Hate a Thomas Kincaid"?
Yeah, that's the like subtitle.
Right. Okay.
Funny story. I was like, this is the title I like. It's not the title that gets clicks. So I changed. Oh shit. So
Oh,
I
it's all good, it's
changed it, and it got like the views exploded when I it to the most hated artist you probably recognize.
That makes sense.
Which I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's a format that
This-
that works, right? Having a bit of mystery there.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Alrighty
I
then.
think I paused it.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean,
my
well,
first
here we
time
go.
using this, so apologies if
These
I
paintings
messed up
make
any.
my corneas hurt. I'm ashamed that this artist lived in my former hometown. The George W. Bush of art. Worthless.
I don't even know
They
what that
make me want
means.
to puke. They are
The
false
George W.
works.
Bush
they
of
are
art.
awful. Simply awful. It belongs in the trash.
This
It
art
is
invaded
stupid art
Iraq.
for stupid people. The worst
Damn.
paintings I've ever seen, and they will haunt me for the next half an hour.
Yeah, so these quotes were read out, and Charlie assumed this was about like Jackson Pollock, or I forget the other one he named. Which is interesting, yeah, because you
Right.
get to. It's almost fun to see people react to this, to be like, "Who are we talking about?" If you don't know, going in.
Those are all real quotes from comments, reviews, and articles concerning one artist and his work. Gee, these paintings must be pretty bad then, huh? What are they, pictures of babies eating each other alive? The scatological scribbles of a lunatic? No. These are the kinds of paintings those quotes are referring to. Now, if you're like me, you might be a bit confused.
It's fascinating to me because I've seen a decent chunk of this video, and I was thinking to myself, because I didn't have the context, I was like, if I were to come up with a reason for why people would hate these, maybe it's in how they were created. Maybe there's something I don't know, and it's like really factory level or something. Like trying to think of what context could it be, because fundamentally it seems inconsistent on its face, right? Because it's just like, why would you hate this? But the thing is, like, so many people don't know more context. But to be fair, once you have all of the context, I don't think everyone's going to hate them anyway.
Exactly. I don't. It gets into it, but I don't hate these paintings. Even
What's there to hate?
all the context.
These
That's
are the
the-
puzzles
that's-
that your grandparents put together.
That was what I was going to say, though, is
Exactly.
like the hatred comes from like all this additional context. Because seeing this in isolation, it's like, why would you hate this?
It's a
Like,
lovely
it's
image.
so
Oh, this
homely.
is something I wish I had brought up in the video, but it only came back later. So, Jackson Pollock, the famous artist shit guy that everybody defends for modern art. He kind of killed somebody.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Did they slip on one of his paintings?
He kind
Well,
of
I
killed
mean,
somebody?
he was drunk driving with somebody, and he smashed into a tree, and they both died.
Damn.
Oh.
So yeah, he that's the end of Jackson Pollock. He kind of killed somebody. So I just find it ironic that everybody defends Jackson Pollock. He has this moral baggage to him as well.
Yeah, I mean, that would
That
suck.
doesn't make me. Yeah, that doesn't make me like, oh, these paintings are bad now.
Yeah.
Oh, I
they're
see,
bad
yeah,
on
I
their
see what
own,
you're
That's
getting
so
at.
daring.
Well, something that was mentioned, I think, in a top comment that I can't remember if we pieced it together or not, but it was fascinating that one of the pluses Ethan is Online gave to Pollock was in his work is like partially fueled by the experiences he had as a child. He had like a lot of trauma that comes through. Meanwhile, Kincaid clearly has trauma, and we like discount it, like it couldn't possibly be attached to the work. And if one said, like, obviously where's the trauma in this image? It's like, no, you'd argue that maybe it's
Well,
fueled the artist.
that was the village where he was brutally raped.
It's like a wholesome fairy tale village where he was brutally attacked. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, you could argue
Did you almost say murdered? Where he was brutally
I was gonna say it
murdered?
wouldn't really make much sense.
This is where I was murdered.
Maybe he drew it in heaven, but or painted. But I was gonna say it can go the reverse direction. You could go that he paints these to express the reverse of what the trauma would like. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways it can come out. it's awkward to describe any piece of artwork as soulless, but like it's not something that I've not done. It's like like Ahsoka felt fucking soulless to me, but at the same time, you hope you have a decent amount of context supporting it, and I think it's difficult to describe paintings like this that way. But we'll see. Maybe by the end of the episode, we'll feel that way. Who knows?
Why, oh why, are these seemingly unremarkable paintings of cottages one would usually see on the covers of jigsaw puzzles so viciously hated by some people? In fact, not just hated, but accused of being dishonest, damaging to art and culture itself. These are works by the late artist Thomas Kinkade. You can make a very good case that Thomas Kinkade was the most successful artist in the 21st century so far. His works can be seen on mugs, t-shirts, calendars, and probably somewhere in your grandmother's living room. Thomas Kinkade's own company claims his work can be seen in 1 out of every 20 American homes. And at the height of his career, his company generated $130 million in sales in 1 year.
A lot of money. Doing pretty well, huh? Or I guess he's not,
Yeah, he
not
was.
doing well right now himself, but it's okay.
Now, I could
It happens.
totally see how someone could dislike his work. Perhaps they find it too excessive in its sentimentality, or is garish, or perhaps they find it simply
excessively
generic.
sentimental.
But to capital H, hate it. I admit I was initially a bit confused by that. In fact, people hate the art and the man so much that in articles about the man's death, you can find such comments as these. I hate Thomas Kinkade with every fiber of my being.
I do like the format because you look at all these picturesque images, like capturing Christmas or a cozy village. That is like, fucking, I want to kill this guy. like, oh shit, okay, why? But that's the thing. So much context to come.
Our long national nightmare is over. There's nothing wrong with liking Kinkade's paintings, but, in my opinion, there is something wrong with people that like his paintings. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. The thing is that the people that buy this crap are ignorant morons from the southeast and midwest of the US. You know, the people responsible for electing George Bush. Their opinions on—
That's what they meant by the George Bush of art, I guess.
It's fascinating, like this point in history. It's like a lot of these things are fairly old, even when I made the video, like these comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, people have always been kind of tribalistic, haven't they?
The more things change, the more things stay the same.
Except like no one talks about George Bush that much anymore. Now it's all—
He's not cool to talk about anymore. There's new guys.
The other guy,
yeah.
I think his name like Trump or
Trump
Rump or something.
Tramp. Not sure.
Norman Rockwell, what?
Wait, Norman.
Yeah, Norman Rockwell.
President Norman.
on art are about as valid as a Gibbons opinion on quantum physics.
Well,
Sir
hey,
or
look,
madam,
alright,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. Have you spoken to all the Gibbons? Do you know?
They say they're smart, so I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I know this is the internet, but if you could kindly remove your head from your own rectum, I think you'd be doing yourself a favor. What could have possibly prompted such venom from a few cottage paintings?
And I'm just curious about what snake that was. That was an interesting looking snake.
Hmm.
Ain't it?
I don't even know the answer.
I hope it was
'cause
a
you
venomous
probably-
snake.
I'm guessing you probably Googled just snake and you won't pay much attention.
I downloaded it off like Dreams Time or something.
Yeah, I
It's
googled
documented.
cool snake.
Ain't it
Oh,
a
that's
neat
cool one.
design that the fangs like fold in and
Yeah, that's
when the
kinda
mouth
cool.
opens?
I'm
up,
glad
they
you
come out.
appreciate the snake because usually I spend a decent amount of time finding the right stock photos.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Well,
like there.
it's
it
it's
pretty
kind
good.
of-
captured
That was cool
the
looking
essence
snake.
very well.
What you'll find is that the reason for this hatred may have less to do with the art itself, and more to do with matters of taste, the art world, and even as you saw in the last comment, politics. Today
Yay.
we'll learn about the many reasons to hate a Thomas Kinkade.
Maybe we'll hate him by the end. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thomas Kinkade was born into relative poverty in 1985 in California.
He had poor
This is wrong.
relatives.
I just want to make it known. This is wrong. It's 1958.
Uh-huh.
I was
This
about
was
to say it sounded like because what he
Yeah.
he died. He died right at some point.
Yeah, yes, he died 2011, 2010. I mentioned
Yeah,
it.
and because it seemed like that, and it's like he doesn't look like he's 30 in those interviews.
Yeah,
So
people
you're gonna
I've
say he
I've
doesn't look like 30 in this image, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. He doesn't. That is true.
you got some of those
Mhm.
old-looking children,
Also,
but
was there just a lot of people taking photos in black and white in like 1985? You
oh
know,
yeah,
feel like
artists,
maybe there were.
people,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, definitely artists who are like,
No.
I hate this color shit. It's ruining everything.
I pinned a comment to make sure no one gets confused. What happened is I just recorded the line. I probably wrote it down in the script wrong, recorded it, edited it, and it just completely passed by. I just did not catch it.
Oh, it happens.
Till it was
The worst is
uploaded.
when you have all your friends proof it and none of them catch it, and then you're just like, wow, how can I rely
Oh,
on
yeah.
any of you ever again? This is you guys' fault, not mine.
Yeah. He
Right.
attended the University of California, Berkeley, and Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. Before college, he was known for having a natural talent for drawing, and was mentored by Glenn
I see.
Wessels, a former college professor of art who
He
lived
looks
just a
fucked
few
up.
He's just old, Rags. That's what old people look like.
yeah, he's old. What's
hundred feet.
Looks like
from
his
own
eyes are
home.
on different like lines of latitude.
he's old.
He's just tilted the head, Rags, okay? Old and tilt.
Okay.
Wessels would eventually encourage him to transfer to the College of Design in Pasadena.
Also, J-Max said I think it was a bush viper, Fringy. Just,
a
curious.
bush viper.
Yeah, they come out of the
Oh
bushes.
man.
Meh.
Right. Or alternatively, that doesn't look like an Australian one. I'm guessing it's from elsewhere.
Who
Then again,
knows?
I'm not sure what an Australian one is supposed to look like. We do have green snakes here. It's just that they're in rainforest typically.
Well, they'll have the accent, right? That's how you tell.
Well, when they jump out of the bushes, g'day, I'm gonna bite you. Nom nom nom.
That's
How about
yeah, that's
some
how it
venom?
goes.
Before his business adventures, Kincaid worked in background painting for an animated film.
As far as the actual technique goes, for the most part, I just want to say the man on the left, James Gurney. This is fascinating because he's a very talented oil painter.
Mm-hmm.
He has a YouTube channel, and he made a lot of kids' books for. It's called Dinotopia. They're very, very high quality oil paintings, illustrations. They're very neat. They're like steampunk, dinosaur, fantasy children's stories. They're very skilled. I just thought that connection was interesting because here he is with Thomas Kincaid.
The art world filled with connections, I imagine.
We used a simple technical procedure. We'd just start out with a big wide brush and lay the thing in. Very scrubby at first, and then as we went, we'd gradually tighten the strokes down. We had to try to keep the time on each painting very limited because there was a number of paintings to be done, over 1,000 for the film.
And traveled by
You love processes like that where it starts out as goop and then it eventually becomes like, you're like, oh shit, that's like a whole, wow, okay, nice, good job. And then the artist is like, yeah, wasn't even that hard, like took 5 minutes. It's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's once you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy actually. So yeah, just stretching.
freight train across the country sketching with James Gurney. When Kincaid was 20, he reportedly experienced a Christian reawakening. These newfound values seeped their way
Ooh.
into his art, which now focused on
Yep.
optimism, natural beauty, and inspirational settings. Kincaid was able to amass such profits from building up hundreds of Thomas Kincaid's signature galleries, which sprung up all over the country at their height and eventually spread internationally. These signature galleries sold high-quality digital reproductions, where one could have the option of having a specially trained assistant highlight the canvas-textured reproduction one was about to purchase. This highlighting consisted of the assistant adding small dots of color to give it detail and texture that was unique to that painting. The stores themselves were
Lovely.
also illuminated
Yeah.
and decorated in a way totally opposite to the sterile white environments usually seen
Boo,
in
sterile
other
white
galleries.
environments. Boo.
Well, I mean, you know, we know why they do that, right? It's to isolate the art away from any other influences to give you its influence on you alone, right? Rather than the walls or the nature of the place having its effects. I'm guessing that's part of the goal anyway. I guess it would be different for every gallery, right? Depending on what the people want.
Yeah. I think this is a kind of a brilliant. I don't know if he invented this kind of thing, but it's kind of a brilliant business move to distance yourself from this kind of setting and make your paintings that stores themselves like the paintings. Very fascinating.
It's well, that's the thing, right? Because a lot of people would set up galleries this way because people set up galleries this way instead of thinking about it.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Galleries, creating a cozy and homely atmosphere. Kincaid excelled at building his brand throughout every aspect of the purchase. Thomas Kincaid was in the money-making business. All his art appealed to the masses, and strayed away from any negative or even ambiguous themes. He had successfully commercialized his art to an extreme extent, and it worked. There are people who were and are passionate about these paintings. Clearly, many are willing to pay for reproductions, and many collect them religiously. The people who buy them are glad to have them. They find comfort in them. Since 1994, Thomas Kincaid's company, Media Arts Group, has traded on the NASDAQ and then on the New York Stock Exchange, making Kincaid the only artist to be a small-cap equity issue. It is estimated his business brought in $100 million in revenue annually. Thomas Kincaid was wildly successful.
And that's where the story ended. What a legend.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm
Such
so
great
glad that this had a
successes.
happy ending.
This huge amount of
Good job.
artwork, whole industry, many satisfied customers, and yet there was some meanies that were like, hey, I don't like your work. That's pretty much it. Good stuff. All right. Unless there's another chapter.
As easy as it would be to dismiss all this hatred as
You're an awful son of a bitch. Our long national nightmare is over. Not proud to
Jeez.
admit my first thought was yes. This is comments in relation to Kincaid dying.
just jealousy of his spectacular success, and I'm sure that's a reason for some. For others, it certainly goes deeper than that. When you go searching for what people think of his work, you'll find a lot of negative reviews that use the word kitsch. This word appears everywhere. Kitsch, kitsch, king of kitsch. But what is kitsch? My first
Oh my
vague
god, that felt like classic video essay stuff right there, where it came on the screen. Nice.
Yeah.
understanding of the word was something that's popular but also poor quality. The Oxford Art Dictionary attempts to define it as objects or design considered to be in poor taste because of excessive garishness or sentimentality, but that might be too narrow. According to cultural critic and philosopher Walter Benjamin, kitsch is, unlike art, a utilitarian object lacking all critical distance between object and observer. It offers instantaneous emotional gratification without intellectual effort. According to Sir Roger Scruton, kitsch is fake art, expressing fake emotions, whose purpose is to deceive the consumer into thinking he feels something deep and serious.
Good fucking god. I was like,
Wow,
I
that's
wonder
our
if
job.
this applies to... I feel like it's a punching bag right now, but I'm sorry, it's one of the newest ones. I'll switch to Loki, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks. But Ahsoka just being like, is fake art expressing fake emotions whose purpose is to deceive the consumer into thinking he feels something deep and serious? It's like, oh my god. It's so true.
These quotes are very fascinating to me, especially because these two people are kind of on the opposite sides of the political and philosophical spectrum.
Hmm.
They seem to like kind of overlap with this definition, which is
It's
Which
probably
is-
not going to enter into my vocabulary, even though it's kind of useful. I just feel like when saying kitsch requires immediately after to explain what you mean. That seems to be like which is a useless word almost at that point.
I my problem with it was too exactly that, just vague and like, well, what do you mean exactly? It's just tell me what you think about
And then
the
you
art.
say all of that, and it's like, oh, I gotcha.
serious. I think it's quite a claim to say something expresses fake emotions, but it might give a better idea of what kitsch is. Even famous, well-established contemporary artists have been accused of using kitsch. My general understanding is art that is not challenging, not complex.
Wow, look at this event. Crazy. All these fellas hanging out
Look
all
at
at
that.
once. Historic, I
Look
would
at
say.
'em.
Yeah, I mean they really had to schedule everybody to get everybody in the same.
Yeah, well, this was all candid. They didn't even know they were being drawn. They were just hanging out. You
Yeah.
know?
But ultimately, the word is hard to
Oh my god, what is that? Hey, if it gives you feelings, if it makes you feel things, you know, that's art. It's art. It's just it's just a bit, yeah, that makes sense.
Fine. Its vagueness allows it to be applied to a wide range of stuff, and for that reason I find it inadequate to fully describe why people and art critics would hate this kind of work. Articles and reviews will also frequently use terms like garish, overly sentimental, and nauseatingly cheerful. All understandable reasons for disliking something, but even so, how does that translate from just mediocre art to art being a national nightmare? Thomas Kinkade has been frequently compared to Norman Rockwell, mainly because of his appeal to American values and usually cheerful scenes. Some have even put both their work into the same dreaded category of kitsch, but I think a more fitting comparison is Bob Ross. Both made serene art that appealed to large mainstream audiences. Both mostly consisted of landscapes without people, and both lives were even cut short at around the same age. Now, I love Bob Ross. I mean, who doesn't?
Squirrel.
But I wouldn't really call his work challenging. In fact, one can make the case that it is kitsch. No, the significance of Bob Ross is not really his art, but the hundreds of PBS videos he made painting that art. Bob Ross was able to reach millions of people and inspire them to pursue oil painting through easy-to-follow alla prima techniques and the soothing, earnest commentary that works both as a tutorial and as relaxing meditation.
As therapy for a lot of people.
Yeah,
And that I
kind of.
find extremely...
I think there was an awareness of that like, you're here to be comfy and chill and
Yeah.
just think
And
about
then
something.
also when he
Zoo in
tells
there. He's got
stories,
squirrels and
when he
birds.
tells stories about the animals that reside in his, pocket, it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, how quite.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
They just pull out this squirrel here.
But I guess this is interesting to think about because it's like it's what did people get from Bob Ross, and it's like, yeah, there were the paintings and the paintings look nice, but the videos and talking through the process and inspiring people to do art was arguably the big thing that he did, more so
Yeah.
than the paintings themselves.
Oh yeah, precisely. I mean, he's probably gonna go down as one of the great artists of the 20th century, because it's just it's beyond his paintings, his influence.
yeah, I mean,
That's
it makes a lot of sense that that's kind of how it goes. The artist and the art both have this like running reputation, and they can be in tandem or support each other or bring each other down, or one could be great and the other but not so much. Like, we have to talk a lot about the nature of appreciating art in spite of the artist, or appreciating the artist in spite of the art. That does come up as well. There's a lot of really nice and awesome people who make shit, which is, it happens.
I mean, I imagine there's going to be a point, maybe a few decades or so, where there's going to be YouTubers who are singled out in history as, these are the guys who really push stuff. This is like the people who changed the game. I don't know. I have no clue who those people are going to be, because sometimes a lot of people who were popular in history during that time actually become obscure later on because their influence just isn't as big. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there would have been a
Well,
time.
it's hard to say.
There would have been a time where Boogie would have been considered one of the most positive, influential, and blah 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 YouTubers. But obviously, if his reputation would be summarized today, there are still
Yeah.
documentaries coming out about how horrible he is. It's just like, good God.
like Mr. Beast, he's like super
Yeah.
popular right now, but it might be one more like I don't know, like who's I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing,
Well, yeah.
kind of-
This applies to
I can only
artists in other industries as well. It's also in chat mentioned Kevin Smith. Like, if you take him from a particular decade, they're complete opposites. The reputation different, like writers, directors, well, just artists in general. It's sometimes it's you want to be bronzified.
Bob.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of a time where his reputation was positive. I don't know, like
His fast food tweet is going down in history for sure.
it's well,
I don't
that's
know what-
that should be at a gallery. That tweet.
That's
Yeah, that's odd.
exactly.
I wonder if that's a thing anywhere in the world. It probably is, a gallery that is exclusively tweets.
Well, give it time,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like that's
give
going to
it
happen if it hasn't happened already.
Probably NFT tweets or something stupid like that.
So I presume so. I don't know anything about this this artist, the guy, the central point of the video.
Oh,
My
Bob Ross?
presumption.
Or
No, no,
Thomas
no, no, no. I
Kincaid.
know about the other guy,
Okay,
Kincaid.
Kincaid.
Yeah. So
Alright.
like, I don't really know. So my first thought when it was like people hate him, it's like, oh, is there something about the process that he uses to make the art that is like something that people don't like?
Yeah.
Obviously we're only halfway, so there's probably more to the
We
story.
got reveals
But I
to
guess I'm
come.
trying
Yes.
to-
I had a
yeah,
feeling
guess
when they showed all the images, I'm like, we got to be going like meta or something.
Well,
Yeah, a little bit.
So I'm kind of interested because that term kitsch, it's like, yeah, it's kind of a funny meme to say that Ahsoka is that, but it's not a term that I think I'm ever going to use.
Yeah.
Because there's I don't know, I find it a little bit pretentious.
And just say it. Ugh.
It's just because something that I find interesting is because it was something that was baked into those definitions, right? It's like it's art that isn't challenging. Which I find a little bit strange as a thing to get like incredibly angry about, because
Yeah.
sometimes you just want to paint a beautiful landscape, and the idea that there's something like less valuable about that because it's not challenging, because it's, you know, nice happy trees and happy clouds in the sky. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, calm down.
Well, I
Yeah, like
assume
not everything has to be some emotional struggle or something.
I assume that's why
Sometimes
you
just enjoy a village with flowers.
Bob Ross has been brought up because he's not known for making challenging art that made everyone
No,
ponder their
he made-
existence, and yet he's not hated. So it's like, so what is the key?
That's kind of my thinking, is like,
gotta
I'm
be the
guessing that there's
squirrels.
more to the story.
Yeah.
What that the other guy didn't have squirrels in his videos, so
Yeah, if he had squirrels and birds, he just pulled them
It's
out of
funny
his
that-
pocket there in a show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Most of these like Jackson Pollock people, these modern artists, contemporary artists, they usually start out with classical training, or at least for sure the ones in the 50s did. They would just paint raw regular subjects like a landscape or a group of figures or around a cart or something like that, and have it be realistic and stuff. So when people say that, oh, Jackson Pollock couldn't draw, I mean, he could draw, definitely. He had classical training.
He just
I don't
chose
know if
not to.
Yeah, he just chose not to. This was the thing he wanted to pursue. So yeah,
You guys say
just a
fleebs
little
and
misconception people have, but
you guys say
it's relevant.
fleebs and tisms without restraint. Yet kitsch is the cutoff point. Yes. Fleebs and
Yes.
tisms makes way more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. We love our floop words.
They
Yeah, floop words are fun.
they're just so much, more clean. Everyone knows what you mean when you say fleem. Obviously,
Exactly.
no one's
And of course,
confused.
again, the big thing is when I say fleem, it's almost like the opposite of pretentious. It's kind of clownish. So that's why. That's
Yeah,
why I like
kinda. I
it.
guess. Yeah, maybe.
The word of the people.
Those people just reminded me, like, I love it whenever Bob Ross is like putting his paintbrush in the water. He's like, beat the devil out of it, right? That's what he says. It's
Yes.
great little phrases.
Well, because it's just he's got a fascinating like life story. Wasn't the thing that he like basically taught himself to paint when he was on a military base up in Alaska, and so that's kind of where a lot of the inspiration stems from for the kinds of landscapes he typically painted.
I don't know a lot about his backstory. I think he was taught. He had a teacher at some point who taught him specifically the alla prima technique, which is he's using as the wet on wet, where you basically paint really fast without letting anything dry. But yeah, I think I don't know. I can't like contradict what you said.
Well, a lot of people in chat are saying that yes, it was while he was on a like an Air Force base.
Used
Yeah,
painting
maybe.
to
I don't know
stay
the
happy.
exact backstory.
Both Thomas Kincaid and Bob Ross sought to comfort their audiences through painting. However, when it came to them as people, Thomas Kincaid was no Bob Ross. Thomas Kincaid
He was a
very
serial murderer.
vain. He branded
Well, so the thing is, I think if you're watching this video, you might expect it could go that way. You'd be like, is did he paint with like the tears of children? Is that what's happening?
himself as Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light, trademarked. Look, even if you like his work, making everything glow is not
funny.
something I would consider a remarkable use of light. These guys are painters of light, not Thomas Kincaid. He's also said things like, God is my art agent, and We have a grassroots movement emerging in my art and in the country, and there's 10 million people out there that if I give the word, will go out and picket any museum I want them to.
That's not good.
That's not great.
He has some
Not great.
quotes.
Ugh, that just feels like a villain line. Like,
A little
Yeah.
bit.
do they not know how they sound? It's like, no.
In one case, he bet journalist Susan Orlean $1 million that a major museum would hold a Thomas Kinkade retrospective in his lifetime. Thomas Kinkade was also not shy to talk about his Christian beliefs and conservative family values. The prominent light so often seen in his paintings, he said, represented the light of God penetrating the darkness, as well as Jesus' light of the world. He quite openly resented the elitist art world, insisting that his work was uplifting and a positive influence on the world, while modern art was nihilistic and ugly.
Well, the fact is, like, it would have been I could have totally imagined it being super uplifting to many, many people, but the irony, of course, is that it pissed off a shit ton of people as well. And so it's like, I guess we should acknowledge that. In the same vein that we should acknowledge this art is enough to make people be like, what the fuck am I looking at? But it's also enough to make a lot of people go, ooh, interesting, oh, inspiring. Like, there are, you get all kinds of reactions out there.
Yeah.
For everything.
What exactly are these ones?
Is that Michael Moore, or am I seeing things that don't
I was
exist?
thinking Michael Moore as well.
That
I was
lady right
thinking
there?
No, the guy on the left in the hat. I was thinking Michael
Yeah.
Moore as well.
Wait, what
I
did you
should've
say,
put-
Rags?
I asked that lady.
Oh, well, there are breasts, but I think, like I said,
Michael
I
Moore
wasn't
has
sure
breasts.
if that was Michael Moore. I'm not sure.
It's the
Yeah,
hat. That's what made me think.
Oh yeah. I wish I had done more research on these images specifically, because I basically just found, this was a quick visual. I just found, okay, here's some painting or some sculptures. It looks like just paper mache
Yeah,
sculptures of
they are
people.
striking, you could say. This,
Yeah.
if we walked into the gallery and you asked me for my comment on this, I'd be like, don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm meant to make of it, but
Maybe I
yeah.
need the lore. We need to read the lore first, and then we can know.
Mm.
In one interview, he said, "The number one quote critics give me is, 'Tom, your work is
You're
irrelevant.'"
gay.
Now that's a fascinating comment. Yes, irrelevant to the little subculture, this microculture of modern art. But here's the point. My art is relevant because it's relevant to 10 million people. That makes me the most
Where's he get this
relevant
10
artist
million
in this
number
culture.
from?
Emails. He gets a lot of emails. Where he figured it out. Are they like
I don't
subscribers to
remember,
his work or
actually.
something that they get?
I think it was just a common statistic he figured out from his business, because they estimated 1 in 20 American homes. I don't know how true that is, but I could believe it,
That
because
sounds
I
good.
went to my grandmother's house and was like, "Oh, there's Thomas Kinkade on the calendar." I'm like, okay, well, maybe it is.
Yeah, it'll be on the
true.
calendar. It'll be a puzzle.
Well, because people are saying
Yeah.
sales, but it's a little bit more complicated than just what you've sold. Because obviously, it's
He could be lying. He could be outright lying. But I mean, it's probably more than 1 million, definitely.
well, yeah, and because I thought maybe he might have set up something like he gives out work every so often to anybody who's asking, or like he had I was trying to think, 'cause it's not quite the same as it would be these days, but if people were paying for some kind of service where you receive a new Kinkade every month or half year or something. I don't
Kinkade,
know.
yeah, monthly. Yeah, the monthly
Something like
Kinkade. Oh, a
that.
Kinkade box.
Well, because the
It's
thing
a-
is, everyone's
it's
already
a-
put it out, but you could totally see his works being on little cards or little postcard sort of things. You'd be like, oh, look, that's nice. It comes in a frame if you pay more. Something you can put on the desk and be like, oh, love it.
Not the least, because I'm relevant to real people. Thomas Kinkade also allegedly frequently engaged in shady business practices,
Sexual debauchery.
such
Uh-oh.
as defrauding authorized Kinkade dealers and exploiting their Christianity to get them into the Kinkade business by dressing it up as a religious opportunity, all the while getting them to take
Dang.
on unreasonable amounts of Kinkade's work at fixed prices. Many gallery owners claimed Kinkade had ruined them financially in the name of God. Kinkade dismissed these
Well, that makes it okay.
accusations while also settling some of them. Kinkade was also an alcoholic, and as his businesses began to decline, he engaged more frequently in drunken episodes where he was prone to cursing heckling performers, one
I don't think Bob
accusation
Ross
of
had drunken episodes.
Didn't he? Do we just not know about them?
I don't know, actually. Did he?
Oh, no.
I don't
Well, to my knowledge, no.
Okay. I mean, I would believe it, maybe.
Maybe he was
That'd
just
be
a
dark
chill
side.
drunk, and he would just stop painting again.
Yeah,
and be
maybe
like,
he's
here I
still
go.
drunk.
Yeah,
on a Winnie
maybe.
the Pooh statue while yelling, "This one's for you, Walt," which I don't even think that one's bad.
Wait,
That's
what?
hilarious.
Wait, hang
and
on.
drunk driving.
Was he context missed? Roll back.
He's stuck up his what?
Where he was prone to cursing, heckling performers, one accusation of groping, urinating on a Winnie the Pooh statue
Oh,
while
no.
yelling, "This one's for you, Walt."
No, it's Winnie the Pooh,
Oh.
not Winnie the P.
This one's for you, Walt.
What the hell?
I just want to
He
know
was
what
ahead of his. He was ahead of his time.
I want to know what Walt would think about that. He'd be so confused.
Well, it's like, but I love Thomas Kincaid.
Which I don't even think that one's bad. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And drunk driving, which is less hilarious.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
And eventually, on April 6, 2012, he was killed by an accidental overdose of Valium and alcohol.
Uh-oh, don't mix your
Even after
Valium and
his
alcohol.
No, pills and booze. That's what can get you.
A legal
They're
battle
gonna
over
say like
his
he was killed when his paint exploded or something like that, like a freak accident that had nothing to do with anything. Like his brushes,
Nothing to do with
exploded into
anything.
Splinters.
estate between his estranged wife and girlfriend took place, all prompted from these drunken, barely comprehensible wills.
I can clearly understand the 16324 in there. I can see art. This statement is null and void if my relationship. No, I don't know what that is. Paints. Oof.
Being of sound mind and body, I hereby bequeath to Gay Pinto Walsh 100.
Bro, that's how Gay Pinto Walsh got his fortune?
Gay Pinto Walsh got 10 million in cash for many cargo. Polly, could I give? And I give her the house at 15 and 1634Z Brest Corrent and Avenue for her security the November 18th or 19th, 2011.
Just crazy. For anybody who doesn't know Gay Pinto Walsh, you probably know the moniker old GPW. You know,
GP Dubs, yeah.
that's one of the most famous artists in history who never made any art. That's the big meme about Gay Pinto Walsh. But this is where all the money came from. I'm just glad we've solved that mystery. We've been asking that for a while on this
A
show.
purveyor of art is basically an artist.
Yeah.
Capitalism artist.
One of the EFAP favorites, Gay Pinto Walsh. Still trying to get him on the show. Maybe one day. Who knows?
Gay Pinto Walsh, if you're still alive, contact
Let
us
us know.
before you overdose on Valium and alcohol.
Yeah, don't mix them.
Eventually, both parties settled out of court.
Look at his
These
brain, he's an
events are
artist.
made even more ironic just by going onto YouTube and watching some of the painting demonstration videos he made before his death. The ones where he actually explains his techniques are fine and decently informative, but on others, the man can't do 2 minutes of actual painting without cutting it off and giving a speech about how God inspired him and how we should all be looking toward the light or something. Religious beliefs aside, are you trying to give an informative peek into your process, or are you just going to preach
Jesus
to
is
the
part of the
audience?
process.
Considering
Jesus is his process.
Yeah,
And
it's the old artist song. Jesus, take the brush.
Jesus take the wheel is always such a funny like.
You
got
know,
me,
it's
Jesus.
just like, it's such terrible advice. Please keep your hands firmly secured to the wheel of your automobile.
That's when Jesus is
while
like,
there's
I
an
am not
emotion."
taking the. You are the one that's
When you- when you
responsible.
Let's be clear.
I just-
Jesus
just
never
imagining-
got a driver's license.
He doesn't know how to drive.
He's not legally allowed to drive on public
When you
roadways.
say that, I just imagine the scenes in movies where like the character takes their hands off the wheel, and I'm imagining Jesus in the passenger seat,
Like really
panicking
stressed
to
out,
get
yeah.
control of the car.
It was bad
Like,
enough when you were
fun.
texting. Now you don't even have your hands on the wheel. We're gonna meet really soon.
Got one hand over the driver's seat from the back, like, oh god, I've got this, okay, like, oh jeez.
Oh god, you do the pedals, I'll steer. The song doesn't say anything about pedals.
How interested he was in maintaining his positive image and Christian values, my guess is the latter. If you're still wondering how people could hate a Thomas Kinkade artwork for political reasons, well, it's because the artist himself politicized them. He fueled the rift between the art world and
Wait,
people out
so
Let's have a
are
look
we...
here.
What? I think... Okay.
I think it's impossible to not see him as somebody who did a lot to inflame culture wars and to make a lot of money articulating to people that they were on the outside, that people were looking down on them, and that the art world was laughing at them. Interesting.
Yeah.
side of it. And to be fair, it seems some of the art world fueled this conflict as well. And oh
I think
boy,
it's okay.
does
You don't
Thomas
need gas on
Kincaid's
that.
opposition...
It's doing fine.
Hmm?
The fire.
Oh yeah,
the
he didn't need to do that,
conflagration.
that guy.
Yeah, it was clearly already quite voluminously inflamed.
he
There
just
was no
wants
need to
slightly
awkwardly
more,
sprinkle
slightly more.
gasoline on it.
No, slightly more voluminous
We
flame.
need it to be more voluminous.
Well, perhaps. That's why the
It's-
imagery is perfect for the point of the video, which is that fires were burning, and then people were tossing on a bit more petrol, a bit more gas.
Objectively speaking,
yeah.
you are gorgeous. Facts do not care about your feelings.
That's how he could woo a woman.
get
Yeah.
political. That's how you can get articles like Thomas
I don't...
Kincaid.
Yeah, this...
The George W.
Yes.
Bush of art.
I find
Yeah.
that
Wait,
funny.
didn't... Yeah, because
Th-
George
it
W.
really
paints
does-
himself, right? He does.
I
It
thought he
Yeah,
did.
really
this
is.
was.
Yeah.
I think this was made before I get into this, but he.
Yeah.
This really does feel like a blast for... When's the last time you heard somebody just say, like, oh yeah, man, remember, like, George W. Bush?
Just feels like an old era, doesn't it? Which
was
it
like
is,
a-
I guess, relatively.
Well, yeah, it says 2012, so this was a different era, but it's just like, man, when's the last time you heard someone mention George W.
Would you
Bush?
like to? Would you like to see one of George W. Bush's paintings?
We,
Oh, I
George-
show some
yeah,
of
we
them.
do. I think in this video.
Oh, we do
Wait,
we?
did-
All right, I won't spoil the surprise.
Wait, did he
Yeah.
paint?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, he did.
he
I didn't-
became a
okay,
painter.
I didn't know that.
George W. Bush of art. Their reasoning? Kincaid, like Bush,
I think this
peddled
is
a
my favorite
falsely
quote.
simplified image of the world, and that
Oh,
the same bad
That's not even.
Like
Taste
a
that-
landscape or a.
I mean,
just
most-
any art that doesn't depict horrific suffering. People will be
is
like,
not
"Oh, you're
accurate to the
just-
real world.
That's not accurate to the real world. You're just rose tinted whatevers.
Which is funny if someone says
This
like
is-
Lord of the Rings doesn't represent the real world. It's like you could go to the Shire in New Zealand, so it's true. That's where you could go. It's real, damn it! Don't tell me different.
that made people invest in fraudulent galleries also elected George Bush and sent their children off to die in
I mean, this is the
This
kind of
quote is absolutely insane.
like okay.
war. There's even another article titled, "Is George Bush a better painter than Thomas Kinkade?" which
No.
argues that George W. Bush's recent painting escapades are more interesting than Kincaid's work because they are more inventive and emotionally resonant.
Oh, it looks like
As at least
oh,
a
that
bit-
guy on the right. He looks like Gusteau.
He looks... I was
He
about
looks
to
like
say,
Oh,
he
I
does
can see
look-
that.
He does look
Yeah.
like Gusteau. He does
Anyone
look like him.
Hey man, maybe George W is a big fan of Ratatouille. I can see that.
He
But who is
probably
he actually
is.
meant to be? Who is he supposed to be, though?
Not sure.
Everyone's a big fan of Ratatouille except you.
Yeah, so I don't know why people were like, in articles I read, they were like praising George W. Bush's art.
I guess
I'm
because
Okay,
it's alright, I guess.
I mean
a
if someone would, like, if he was like learning how to do it, there'd be plenty of criticism to
Yeah.
deliver. But I guess people are gunning for the aspect of just look at the expression, like
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's-
guess that's what they'd be going for.
it's definitely like there's a lot of like amateur stuff, but I guess it's like better than a person who just started. You know, that there's certainly merit in. There's some volume stuff like the Putin one. I think is a lot worse than the other.
Say it.
Yeah, like the one
I don't
on the
know what-
right.
I don't know
Gusto
what-
one.
Yes.
Gusteau
Say the
one, yeah.
Gusteau one.
Chef
the Gusto
Cousteau.
one.
Yeah.
I think the Chef Cousteau is a lot better. It just-
Rewriting history here on EFAP.
a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
because
much better grasp of like form.
much to learn George W. still has. But it's, if I saw my kid come up with these, I'd be like, oh, these are great. Look at that.
Oh yeah, like if my child made these, I'd be like, yo, these are great. You should like seriously pursue an art
yeah.
career.
As Elisa Bennett
They're no gay Pinto Walsh artistry level.
It's no gay
but,
Pinto Walsh.
but that's a
but,
difficult thing to strive toward.
quite bitterly explains in her article, A Dream from Christmas Cottage, though Kincaid's paintings often pander to evangelical Christianity, which is probably the most legitimate reason to hate them, the primary reason that the art world has erected aesthetic and conceptual barriers around him is one that echoes
Barricades.
Clement Greenberg's 80-year-old
Will.
essay on the
Yeah,
avant-garde
I
and
screwed up
kitsch.
that
Take it
too.
down.
Redo the
Yeah,
whole
I
video,
have to
damn it.
take that.
Take down your
Yeah.
video.
We think it's stupid art for stupid people. That is, those who
Wow.
are too intellectually flabby to spot the
Okay.
Jeez, calm down. You don't
just-
like the fact that the guy is into Jesus a lot.
Like if you
Go get chill.
ever were just sitting on the old couch and you're watching like Bluey and it's just like, don't steal from people. If someone was like, why aren't you watching fucking, the
Why aren't
newest
you watching Worker and what was it? The one in The Simpsons?
Worker and
Why aren't you watching
Parasite?
that? Why don't you watch Worker and Parasite instead of Itchy and Scratchy,
Yeah, watch something more challenging. You're like, bro, I'm fine. I can check out some stuff that's chill and fun and safe and cozy sometimes. That doesn't mean I don't also check out existential terror, here and there, like in between my Bluey episodes.
difference between
Gay Pinto Walsh was not intellectually flabby. They were more intellectually stiff, I think.
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do praise a lot of Gay's work, but he came under a lot of fire in the 90s, specifically. I don't need to go over all of those events, but it's
Yeah, the Columbine era was pretty...
a lot of stiff
Thomas-
works, you could say, yes.
Yeah,
Thomas
a lot of
Kincaid
stiff
thought Gay Pinto Walsh came under a lot of fire as well after he died and went to hell for being gay.
What? Gay Pinto Walsh wasn't gay.
What?
That's
This is
insane.
madness.
Yeah,
the
what do you-
real and a charlatan's flattened approximation of it. Yes, to some, hating a Thomas Kincaid painting has political dimensions to it. But I think a slightly more charitable explanation that is less political and more merit-based comes from the art critic Jerry Saltz. The reason the art world doesn't love Kincaid isn't that it hates love, life, goodness, or God. We may be silly or soulless or whatever, but we don't automatically hate things with faith and love or that other people love. The reason the art world doesn't respond to
This person hasn't been to the internet yet.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who like you got
Or it's
anyone
like
you
they
could
see
imagine.
something
They're out there.
happy, and they're like, "Oh, this is
I
happy.
hate happiness.
Or, oh, this is somewhat wholesome." Or, "Oh, a man and a woman with a child." Ugh. What is this conservative?
I could see-
propaganda?
Like a friendly little flower in a field, and I could totally see someone being like, "Where's the blood? Why haven't you? Where's the realism?" And you're like,
Where's
"Oh,
the blood flowers? Show me.
poppies."
Kincaid is because none, not one of his ideas about subject matter, surface, color, composition, touch, scale, form, or skill is remotely original. This might be the most succinct and clear explanation of an aspect of why some people hate his art. It was something I suspected from the beginning, but it was just never actually written down clearly until this man finally gave a beautifully specific reason. Now I agree, in fact, that they are unoriginal in those aspects. But, and I know this is like a
Why did we pause on Edna mode?
Whenever whenever someone pauses, I'm like, "Yes, what did you? Was there something?"
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. I'm losing my mind. Now, I don't know if I completely agree with that because now, like, thinking after, I'm like, okay, unoriginal, but I can recognize a Thomas Kincaid. So even if it's not like super unique, there's some sort of style there that he made that I can differentiate from other people, and that's original in a sense, you know?
I was trying to think of what I think about those words being used, sort of like the ruling out his work as being able to be described that way. And I was like, how would I apply it if I thought those did apply? And it's like, does it mean just his works are like always remixes of his works? None of them ever come across as strictly new. Like, oh wow, he did
Yeah,
that.
I
It's
think that's the
more,
charitable.
yeah,
Well,
it's more like he's a
I guess
reliable artist that provides you a thing where you're like, that's his stuff, and I like it, and that's fine.
I guess that's because something I will say is that the more that the pitches have been coming up, the more I've been getting bored by them. But
Oh
like
yeah,
I don't know,
absolutely.
but
There's,
like
yeah, I can't
it
put
just
it
feels
into
like I'm starting to
words.
see a similar thing over and over and over again, even though there are obviously differences between them. It's just starting to get a little bit boring seeing them.
Some of them I like way more than others, but all of them have I think it's like that they share this texture.
Yeah,
They share this like it's all the same pieces rearranged in a way. Um it's really tough to say because it's good art. I like it. It's pleasant. I can imagine living in my little cottage by the lighthouse. Um, but I'm like, but there's something almost matrixy about it. Like it,
There is
Yeah,
something
like
that's a little bit strange about it. It's like because when you show the first painting, it's like, oh, okay, it's like a cottage in the woods, okay, and then you see like another cottage in the woods,
and I
and
see
then
the
another one, and
1000th one.
and then they're all very bright as well.
yeah,
And the
that's
longer that
the
it's going on, the more it's starting to be like, okay. Compared to I guess when you compare it to like the great artists throughout history, right, where there's more variety, more dimensions, more yeah, it's just there's differences. These all feel very similar, and it's starting to get a little bit boring.
It's surprisingly striking, beautiful, and ready to be praised in and among a bunch of other artists' other works. If you saw one of these just like alongside a bunch of other stuff, you're like, oh wow. But you'd still probably do the thing which everyone does, which is like, that looks just like it would be on a Christmas card. That looks just like it would be on a greetings
yeah, you
card.
don't. When you look at
It
these, you don't think of these as paintings. You think of them as Christmas cards and puzzles that
which is
old people
interesting,
put
right? It's like
together.
there's a level of genericness that
And
kind of
yeah.
stems from it, which is kind of fascinating to me almost.
have they been
Um,
made generic, and it's like it's not even the fault
yeah,
of the art.
Well,
You
a
know?
more
well,
a
I guess
nicer way of
I'm
putting it, you
not
could say
sure.
is cozy and reliable. But
Kind of. It's
I
safe.
guess
Yeah, I think
that's almost kind of the selling based on like I said, I
yeah,
really don't know much about this guy. Like this is basically the first time I've heard of him, though I'm guessing that I probably have seen one of these paintings before on a jigsaw.
Absolutely,
Or
yeah.
like
yeah.
on a
As
Christmas
well,
card.
so some people in
Um,
chat now referencing AI and like algorithmically, like it comes across that way, and it's like I think that's where the art world was taking issue with him, was that it comes across as though you see these thousands of paintings in a row, you're like you come across as an algorithm that you're creating these. They're not like expressions of passion in fast, angry, or
and
sad, or
when you
happy. It's mostly like you know what you're doing, you do it well, and it's done. Which
and then you combo that up with the business model as well, and how successful that business model was. Seemingly, it's just I guess what I mean that I don't know much about the business practices, but that it made a lot of money basically, and that a lot of
well,
people
and
bought the painting.
this is
When
why
you combine all together, it's like
I feel like our episode 251 was kind of about this. Like we wanted, I believe there should be a balance, not like a, on one side you have the people who appreciate the craft in and of, lighting, composition, skill, like all of these particular things divorced entirely from the expression from the artist, and then the other side is like, no, the expression from the artist is all that matters. You could have literally a fucking a piece of shit on the floor. It's just like if I can just read the book that relates to it and find out what it means, that's what makes true art, sort of thing. It's like why won't have it be both, that we want to have artists that express themselves and their experiences and their lives through artworks that are channeled into like crafts that require skill, that create like incredible imagery. And that each of these things can change the amount you judge the artwork for what it is and stuff, instead of like this like drawing this weird line where this is either incredible or terrible depending on which of those two you opt for.
Yeah, you
mm,
guys might have just to give you some more information, I suppose. Yeah, he basically he has this sort of factory like process. Certainly. And even his paintings, like they're technically skilled, but there's things you can pick apart about them. Like some people pointed these things out to me. Like sometimes the perspective of the houses isn't exactly completely correct, or the lighting doesn't make sense.
mm.
I
And
can
like
imagine
those
that, yeah.
things, Yeah, those things, like, if you're looking at it from like a technical realism like perspective, and it's like, okay, I could see why you could find that annoying and stuff.
Well,
And like they're clearly not trying to be realistic, but they're
oh yeah,
still
they like
like
fanciful fairy tale-y type style,
yeah,
at least
but
it comes
there's
across
still
that way.
like errors and like reflections that even then wouldn't really make sense.
Mhm.
However, I got to give him a little bit of credit. In doing research for this video, I saw like Kincaid copycats, and oh boy, there are some really bad, like really sloppy versions
Well,
that obviously don't have as much skill. So like I kind of appreciate that he's, trained as well, even if there are small mistakes. He's
the
certainly not the worst technically skilled wise.
another really awkward aspect to it would be, let's take this one for example. If someone said like, what I hate about his work is that it's all soulless or kitsch, as they were using earlier. There's nothing to this. He paints it almost automatically. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's just trying to make money. No expression in there. But then, what if there was like a full, 10-hour video of him making this, where he talks extensively about his like family history, and that all of this is supposed to inform it that like this wonderful, beautiful thing that's perched on the edge of the coming waters that are going to engulf it, or at least that was his like perspective. Like, if that were true, would that then make this more of a piece of art? Which is why I find the whole lore argument a bit. It struggles with me sometimes. It's just like, so the image wasn't even relevant at that point. It was like just whether or not he felt things when he made it, which we can never necessarily know, or not always necessarily know, because as we talked about in that episode, it's like, what if the artist is fucking dead and there was no record of what he felt when he made the thing? Now what?
Mm-hmm.
That they are unoriginal in those aspects. But, and I know this is like a cardinal sin according to art critics, I don't hate Kincaid's art. There's some paintings I like. Some I wouldn't mind having a print
Oh, that's
of.
nice.
That's
Quite
nice,
a few
yeah.
I find excessive.
Yeah, that one feels a bit busy.
It's like it's almost like a Where's Waldo
Yeah.
picture. But like its busyness is what you have to appreciate, and if you don't, then like the image is sort of like it's lost.
guess-
You're like, oh,
I
look
guess
at all
the
the little
logic-
people doing their stuff.
I guess the logic for this one, or like these kinds of paintings, is that you'd have these in your home. You can spend a lot of time looking at all the little details because
Yeah.
you're like just sitting there.
Yeah, just imagine
But
yourself
it's
being
too
here.
much for me. It's too much for me.
Yeah, I like it, but it is a bit. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
That
Ooh.
one's a bit strange.
Yeah.
The lightning bird in the top left coming out of
Yeah,
nowhere
that's-
to be like, what's up? Yeah. We
I don't
have
think-
this waterfall.
I think this is actually not. I think this was actually made after his death, so it's like this little
Well,
factory.
yeah, why is
made
there
of it.
Bambi there?
Because
He has a deal with Disney.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
So
Then
that
I guess
that ex-
that explains why he did get in trouble for pissing on Winnie the Pooh then.
Yeah, he had this. I should have mentioned that actually to give more
Okay,
context.
yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
Could it be as
Quite
funny,
Winnie-
maybe?
Winnie the Pooh is more what's the name of the guy who actually made Winnie the Pooh? What was his name?
A Milne?
Gay Pinto
that's
Walsh?
right. No. No.
Gay
I guess
Milne?
saying, like, it's just, no need
Oh,
to be
bother.
pissing on Winnie the Pooh, all right?
No
Yeah,
need for
exactly.
that, no.
He just
Yeah.
wants to eat his honey. He's a
Yeah, he
he's a quaint
does.
little bear who lives in the 100-acre wood
Oh,
with his
bother.
friends and wants to eat honey.
Who I find downright horrendous. But I don't hate everything he has ever painted. People often insult Kincaid's work by calling them greeting card illustrations.
though, that's good.
Well, greeting cards
Oh,
need
that's a bit much.
illustrations, don't
They do, and they have, as if we've never picked up a greeting card and gone, and looked at it for a bit and been like, look at that, look at all the, yeah. But I guess
the interesting thing is that part of what's been in this video is like, for instance, if you saw like a grandma who had one of these paintings up on the wall and she's just like, it just makes me feel cozy, it makes me feel at home or whatever, and that's why they bought one of these paintings. I feel like it'd just be really weird to be like, wow, you like
you
you're such
fucker.
a stupid idiot. You don't know anything.
You sit grandma down, you boot up sober, and you're like, go. Like, enough of this Kincaid bullshit. Play the game.
You know what I mean? It's
There
like-
never was a coin toss. I don't
Like-
understand.
Because it's like I said, I find these like I'm getting bored seeing them, but it's like, yeah, but like, I don't hate these paintings. Like, it's just not doing much for me.
I mean, with each one, I still have a different reaction. If you know what I mean, there's enough different.
There
Like,
are definitely, they're not the same. There's similarities that sort of pervade them.
I think
But
because I assume Solar Sands, you picked a lot of these to illustrate particular points you're making at the time, but that you probably could have collected like 20 in a row that are almost indistinguishable in terms of just composition and like the goals he had.
I
'cause,
tried. This is me trying to like steelman him basically. I didn't want to just pick the same painting because he does have different paintings.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, yeah, that one of the that one that was up before that you said that corresponded with you saying you liked it with all of the path with the autumn trees around it. That looks a lot more different to a lot of the ones that have been showing up in the video.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
I think
a
that's him
cottage
being a lot
with
more
mountains in the
restrained.
background. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you almost want to be like, hey, Kincaid, try something else. I just want to see what else you could do because obviously you can capture imagery, like, so why not?
Draw one that doesn't have a cottage or mountains. You know,
Yeah.
just give it a shot. Maybe draw like a desert. Try drawing a desert. You know.
Ooh.
Or just even as simple as just like, look at this lion, draw it. I want to see what you
Yeah.
do.
There's
Exactly.
paintings. There's all kinds of like parodies. There's one that has a Star Destroyer looming in the background.
I would love there to be a
true,
Star
yeah.
Destroyer.
That'd be pretty funny. Yeah.
There's some you could I can look it up and
That almost seems like something that would be worthwhile to do. Is like you can do your painting, but there's like this one element that you have to incorporate into it that is like really, really, really out
Yeah.
of left field.
I need you to make Five Nights at Freddy's paintings.
Hey man, that kind of could be interesting, you know? What is Kincaid's take on Five Nights at Freddy's? See what he's got. Wholesome Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've done that already, but hey.
Don't they? Or else they would just be white pieces of folded paper with text. And hate them or love them, his paintings fit that purpose. You aren't going to find academic history paintings or Basquiat art on Get Well Soon cards. That would be tonally incongruous.
I guess there's people out there that would find that reassuring, but just yes, that would be weird. If that picture was on Get Well Soon, I'd be like, okay.
I always think that'd be like that's kind of funny.
Don't let this
Cozy
demon get you now.
Cottage. If the man had just accepted that his art wasn't going to be seen.
Oh my god, look at
Oh my
that.
goodness gracious.
Peer out your little fanciful cottage, like, oh jeez. Oh god.
oh, there's the Empire again.
There's the Empire. Just in time for Christmas.
In high-class museums, maybe the kind of vicious hatred for his art from the art world still seen today would be reduced. I think people can be overly critical of his art, but the man also fueled that conflict. What is Thomas Kincaid's legacy? Can a man be defined by his worst attributes? Was he really just a hack that used religion and falsely soothing images to swindle people out of their money? Or was he a flawed businessman of faith that produced art that may not be wholly original, but tried to instill some sort of simple beauty in an ugly world, who in moments of weakness succumbed to his worst tendencies? I can't really give you a good answer, but Kincaid will certainly not be the last of his kind. John McNaughton has been described as the Thomas Kincaid of Christian nationalism. His paintings are some of the most overtly political and excessive oil.
I don't know what that means. Look at Trump.
The snake as well.
The
snake in
he's,
his
sta-
boot.
he's stepping on the
There's a
snake.
in my boot.
No, you're not
oh wait,
supposed
no,
to
he's
tread on a
stepping
snake.
on it. Oh, he's stepping on it. I see.
Yeah,
No, don't step on Snack.
Unless
these are my
Snack
favorite
was dangerous.
paintings of all time.
Paintings out
Some of them.
Yeah.
there. And like Kincaid,
Yo, look at him.
Jesus, like, what's up?
they are
Yo, what's
technically
up, soldiers?
competent. I wouldn't say they are.
This is
sure
hype.
do love watching Donald Trump drive by on his
Yeah.
breathtakingly
motorcycle.
skillful, but he's probably a better painter than most people. Now, whether you agree or disagree
Oh my gosh.
politically,
Oh my
you
God,
have
was
to
that
admit
Jeb?
that these paintings are a
I hope
bit
so.
much. As in, they are extremely dramatic and far from subtle in their
Who's the
messaging.
guy crying there? Who's that meant to be?
Not
I
Probably
sure.
one of those.
Idea.
It's probably some
like 200
Democrat
figures.
piece of shit. Some fucker.
Some idiot. I do like the I find these very funny. Like it almost evokes more emotion out of me these than the Kincaid ones, obviously. But like,
these make
Yeah,
me
these
laugh.
ones.
Yeah.
they're so expressive. There's so much happening.
But it's still art. In fact, not only is it art, it's fascinating
God.
art. It reveals the inner psyche of the artist and the zeitgeist of large swaths of the American population. These
Yeah.
paintings aren't just some crude Photoshop that your grandpa shared on Facebook. These are huge canvases
Jihad
that required
Squad.
technical skill, planning, and time. They
True.
contain all the nuance of
Oh, I know that one. Ben Garrison. Yeah, he's I always see his pop up.
political cartoons, but upgraded to far more detailed, loosely realistic paintings.
Yeah, painting
They're also,
cartoons.
by definition, propaganda. In his work, Legacy of Hope, he combines dozens of figures from history together, comforting Donald Trump, I suppose. Many who would downright hate each other. And whether you agree
Yeah,
with
but
their
we could all agree on Trump.
And they all
Trump is a
got
great
together for the
unifier.
fucking painting. Okay, that was the deal.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Gay Pinto Wall. She set it all up. Got them all together.
Oh, this picture's got Trump there sitting there making a painting.
I like his expression.
Yeah, I
That's
did
Boy,
this
just-
let
one.
me show you this art that I made. It's
It
the
really
bestest art
makes you
ever. I
think.
know it. You know it. We all know it.
or not, you have to admit they are ripe for meme material.
Oh my god.
And I don't know about you,
Don't make fun of my art. It's not constitutional.
McDonald's.
McDonald's one.
Ronald
KFC.
McDonald.
He's painting KFC.
The one with Putin as well.
but I think that has a value on its own. I also find this quote from McNaughton quite fascinating. I'm just honestly a
Oh.
little perplexed.
Oh,
I
what
have
you're
no
reading,
idea
okay.
where buyers are
Yeah,
hanging them.
yeah.
I just know I sell a ton. Sometimes I'm shocked at how many I sell. That one I told you about.
What?
Obama playing the fiddle while the fucking White House, the Capitol building are on fire. What the
Jesus. Obama, I don't remember you doing that, but
I burned this document when I drone strike that guy.
God.
Sell. That one I told you about. Obama burning the Constitution. When I painted it, I worried, this thing is just hideous. Why would anybody hang that in their living room? It's not, he says, the kind of warm, happy work.
Imagine seeing that and
Fire
someone
is
was
warm.
asking
Yeah.
me like,
Watching
I wonder
Go
what
to
your
someone's
opinions
house,
are.
that's the first thing.
I could just now imagine it's like step into my humble abode and it's just filled with these paintings. Obama playing
Wall
the
to wall. You can
fiddle.
barely even see the walls.
You're like, what do you want to talk about? You're like, I feel like I know you. Like,
Well, so this is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because it's because obviously the comparison is being brought to the other guy, and it's like this is kind of interesting because it's similar and different. Because
yes.
it's like
It is.
writing out here. This isn't like warm and happy necessarily. Some of these are. Some of these are incredibly critical, which is like
Exactly.
so it's kind of different to just the cottage in the forest with all of the light beaming over it. You know.
Yeah, and the
oh,
criticism
yeah.
would likely be like, there's no subtext. It's all just overt.
Well, I mean, compared to the other comics by that other dude, right? They have all the text on there. It's like I guess they're a little bit more subtle than that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's almost like you have so much text on this picture. Why did it need to be a picture?
Yeah. just
Yeah.
make a little
Just tell
poster.
me what to think.
People typically want in their homes. This is where McNaughton and Kincaid diverge. McNaughton does not seem to be as interested in making money, and
I find it fascinating that he's like, why are people buying these? These are insane. He has like self-awareness. And he just keeps making them and they
Yeah,
keep
just
selling.
keep going, I guess.
at least appears to have some self-awareness that his work will likely not be accepted as high art. However, McNaughton may be a sign of something greater. Maybe Kincaid will eventually win his museum bet, but not in his lifetime. In some bizarre twist of fate, museums of the future may display his work in the context of the beginning of a movement of populist conservative art. They may be seen as not aesthetically or emotionally significant, but historically significant. And who knows, maybe the tides of the art world will change and Thomas Kincaid's work will be seen in a new respectable light. I have my doubts, but art critics have been wrong
Wow,
before.
hater.
Unlike others apparently, I cannot bring myself to feel joy in this man's death. The life of Thomas Kincaid...
Well, I always find it weird. It's rare that the death of someone is like a joyous occasion, even if you really don't like him. Just like, it's just, I mean, his art, what was it? A cultural nightmare. It was considered by a lot of people. It's just like, damn.
a long national nightmare is over.
Yeah.
Is a life of tragedy. The man had talent, and dishonest or not, attempted to bring some sort of positivity into the world, but was stunted by greed and mass appeal. It seems he wanted to be loved by everyone, and when he wasn't, he turned hostile. He preached
to be
about
like
family
Jesus,
values and
loved by
God,
everyone.
and yet endangered others. Was killed prematurely by the hand of his own addiction, and left his family fighting for his legacy because of his failed relationships. His brand was one of optimism, faith, and comfort. His paintings were serene, peaceful, perfect scenes without pain or suffering. Ironically, his life was anything but. Behind the artificiality of these idyllic scenes is the all-too-real reality of human folly.
I wonder if there are any paintings where you might be able to detect something like that. And that would be the thing I'd probably want to talk to him about if there was anything I could talk to him about. It's like, do you ever feel an interest in expressing tragedy in your works? And I wonder, because judging from his works, I imagine he'd say, like, why the fuck would I do that? You know? Like, what would be the point of that? And I'd be like, oh, interesting, I guess.
You know, I really think, I mean, I don't know if his name is that big, but I think it'd be fascinating if someone made like a dramatized movie of him, because he almost had a rock star lifestyle for a little bit there. You could like explore all the little angles of how this happened.
You could do the secret works of Kincaid, and it's like he actually, for every nice and positive one, he drew like a really tragic, raw one that he kept in a vault that no one
he
saw.
put in the basement, yeah.
And like Nicolas Cage has got to go find them. Be pretty good, I think.
Like the Declaration of Independence. I have to steal the lost Kincaids.
I have to steal the Obama burning the Declaration of Independence, or whatever the fuck, Constitution. It's just there's plenty of potential for movies here. We gotta get them all. Whole series.
Yeah, must be explored.
That was a good video, by the way. That was interesting.
Yeah, I really like that video.
I didn't
one
know
of the
if
better
it was...
ones we've had on EFAP.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we often we don't often cover what we would consider good videos, so that was neat. That was different. Thank you very much, and I feel informed upon the subject.
Glad I got the EFAP approval.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's a rarity, but good stuff.
What
yeah,
precious gift.
And I feel like you were pretty fair, which can be difficult these days because there's very strong opinions, as you already laid out for certainly this topic. And then when it comes to art too, right? Like trying to be like, okay, this image evokes X, and then someone's like, no, it doesn't. And you're like, okay.
So to get the story clear, so there was this video, and then
Charlie watched
this video,
and he
then
shot on
prompted.
He shot on Modern Artists because of that, and then Ethan is Online saw it and said, how is it, Charlie, that you're saying things that have been said in PragerU videos?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it was like, what?
Yeah, now it's starting to come back.
And remember, we were the PragerU videos, the clips we saw, they weren't that bad. They were just, like, PragerU could be insane,
fine.
but, they were fine. Yeah, a lot of the
ones
stuff
about art,
fine.
the artist guy?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He still said some weird shit.
There was one guy.
He said some things of value.
A lot of normal stuff, and then there was one guy who was more of a mixed bag.
But like, I've seen crazier stuff from PragerU than that. That's like,
yeah,
it's relatively mundane.
The artist that Ethan is Online was shitting on, and that was the spokesperson for PragerU.
Yeah.
You know, the one with the super detailed figures and stuff. Those paintings are crazy. I can't believe that was like the first time I saw.
Oh yeah, because he was like gunning for him.
He was like an actual artist. He was like a Maxfield Parrish kind of.
He said like, have you tried ever drawing something that isn't a person or a tree or something? I can't remember. It was like, wow, way to summarize these images. Like, sure, I guess.
He was just shitting all over them.
Oh, he's on PragerU. I have to hate his art because he's a PragerU guy. Instead of being like, I don't agree with many of his political opinions, but the man can draw.
Yes, he could. But yeah, good stuff.
So,
I feel like context is complete. We've done the whole journey.
Arguably, this video started the entire like Charlie, your guys' reaction to it.
The big long trail.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like I said, I think there's room for Ethan Online to make his response and to try and like, you know, provide the alternative point of view. But like that video sucked ass.
I'd say it's one of the worst that we've covered.
I always hesitate to say that because
I know, but I still think it's one of the worst.
I don't know. That wisecrack one on the trolley problem was pretty bad.
Pretty awful.
Like all the writing advice
Rude.
ones we cover are insanely bad as well.
Mm.
I don't know which one's like. I think my favorite EFAP is the one where you cover the guy who shits on Lord of the Rings.
Nah.
Oh yeah,
He
that's
has-
my favorite.
He has since made a new Lord of the Rings review I've been made aware of.
Hey.
I believe
shit.
inspired at least partially to want to make a new video based on us reacting to the old one. As far as I know, he's still very much on board and happy and fine and chill with our reaction, because obviously we're fans of Lord of the Rings. But yes, 93.
I like it.
93 is often referenced as the favorite episode, but it's between that one, the Synthetic Man one, and the Rise of Skywalker one. I think those are the fan top picks.
The 93 is so fucking funny. And like all the bizarre editing, and
Yeah.
fucking nostalgia critic references, and Harry, and like bringing up Harry Potter. Oh man, I love it.
Oh
So
fuck
great.
yeah!
I've
I
watched
forgot
it
he kept
twice.
comparing to Harry Potter.
It
Chosen
feels so
One.
weird. 93.
Yeah,
We're on 254. I like
come such a long way. So many pieces of media covered. Wonderful pieces of media, by the way. I would never want to undermine that, of course. Such great and epic adventures, including and not limited to, by the way, for people who don't know, we've been covering Saw this month. That's been a whole journey, which is funny because it's a journey that we did a year ago. But for you guys, it's right now.
That's exciting.
Yeah. We're also covering newer things this year for Halloween, but you won't know about that until next year.
That's right.
Yeah, silly
Next
little.
year, you'll learn what we're watching
clams.
this year.
They're actually the next one is going to be Soul 6. You know, they just had 5, so it's going to be like, that'll be the one.
Oh,
I'm sure a lot of
that's-
people.
yeah.
I've seen some comments saying people are looking forward to seeing what we think about Soul 6.
Saw 6. Ooh, well, I guess they'll find out in how many days for your little fucked up X on the when does the next one come out?
Oh, that'd be Wednesday, I think. So it's a bit of a
Ooh.
gap now. I say that as if you EFAP fans, have you been noticing lately? You've been getting all of the stuff, all that
Getting a lot of
Ahsoka
content.
juice
Yeah.
came right out.
Oh yeah, fucking Ahsoka,
Ugh.
bro, Ahsoka. Oh, it's actually super annoying to me, because I watched the Clone Wars when I was like a kid, and like the Clone Wars isn't very well written, but man, Ahsoka used to be an actual character. She actually had like a personality, and in this one, she's just like just a fucking plank of wood. She doesn't do anything. She used to be like
Sometimes she smirks.
much
and
more
sometimes She
energetic.
crosses her arms.
the smirking and crossing the arms is like
That's a
It's not-
personality.
enough.
that's barely any. That's like a
What?
shadow of what she was. I don't know why Dave Filoni just made her like this
Doesn't do anything?
obnoxious monk.
It was crazy as well
I don't know,
because
it is kind of weird.
that was getting
Um,
shared excessively, the fact that she folded her arms, and I was just like, man, I guess that really does work. Like, it'll make you fill in the blanks, I guess. Which, that quote about Kitsch had that near the end, that it's like, it'll have people believe what they're seeing is a hell of a lot deeper than it actually is. There's so little to draw out of it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was tweeting about it because I saw Disbrew tweeting about it, that IGN did a review semi-recently in summary of Ahsoka, saying it is a season filled with basically nothing but extended scenes of like pauses that add nothing or jangling keys to sort of keep you going. It's just like, oh my god, it's been a while.
Even
but,
IGN.
yeah, even
I guess the
IGN.
Disney
Positioning
check didn't
breaking.
clear.
It does feel weird to see like big publications repeating talking points that we've been like running with for years. Like, holy shit, they're catching up. I never thought they would, to be honest with you. And I say they're talking points that like around all of our spheres for a long time. We've definitely been pushing the jangly keys thing since at least Mando season 2 finale, but I want to say earlier than that because it was all of Mando season 2 in general, right? Like that was the key jangling season. They had obviously
Yeah.
Bo-Katan, Boba Fett,
Luke.
Luke. Yeah, Luke would be a big one. Ahsoka was a key jangle in that season, and now she's Isn't that crazy? It's like, oh, I love to see her. Oh, there she is. Oh man, she had her own show, and then it's just nothing.
It is absolutely nothing. I don't get it, because she used to actually be like like clever too, and like curious about things. I'm going off my memory. I watched it. I watched the entire show for a video I made on my channel. With this, she's just nothing. Completely nothing. I don't understand how anyone is really happy with this, even the Clone Wars fans. Don't
Also,
get it.
I was actually going to suggest, since we are only an hour and 44 minutes in, would you guys want to check out that IGN review? It's in video form.
Oh yeah, let's
that'd
give it
be
a look.
Really?
well.
Holy
Well,
shit.
I'm curious. Yeah,
It is
because normally
called,
IGN just passes out the 7s and above for all the corporate sponsors.
Yeah, because
Um,
the video is called "The Ahsoka Season Finale Reminds Us What's Wrong with Star Wars." Which, that's
One other thing I want to mention is that I think Dave Filoni has always had this problem with making the bad guys stupid and incompetent. 'Cause-
you could say that about his heroes as well.
and is here about making everybody an idiot, but especially the villains.
Well, one thing I
Like,
saw,
in the-
just
yeah.
really quick, one thing I saw about a video assessing Ahsoka versus the Clone Wars versus like Rebels and stuff is that a lot of people are not as aware as they should be of just how much Filoni did in terms of his writing versus show running, and that we should be careful to assume that almost all the best writing decisions in Clone Wars and Rebels, whatever they may be, that they get given to him, like credited to him. Meanwhile, of course, Ahsoka, we know, written and in some cases directed by him. Like, this was his baby sort of thing, and that this should be probably the best representation, especially being it's brand new, of his abilities as an artist. And I was like, that's probably true. Current abilities, certainly.
I did not know that.
I had no clue. I thought Filoni was heavily involved in Clone Wars, but then I saw someone lay it out, and I was like, oh shit, his writing credits for them. I think it's only like the newest season or something.
It was the later that it went on, the more credits he got. Like the longer that the show went on.
And I don't want to undermine his contributions. For all I know, he's responsible for some of the like best payoffs in the show, as far as I'm aware. Like I said, I haven't seen it and I haven't checked all the credits, but I remember just watching a video that was like, be careful to credit a lot of different things to him, because you need to check who actually did the stuff, because a lot of people don't get credited where they should, which is fair.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, I don't know. It just seems like Ahsoka, like the bad parts of Ahsoka are like a spiritual successor to the bad parts of Clone Wars. Because in Clone Wars, you frequently have these scenes where like Jedi would be facing like 80 battle droids, and the battle droids would just run up shooting their lasers, and and like Anakin or something would just mow them all down. I'm like, great, that was exciting. So yeah, it's just weird.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
It's gonna be exciting. One of us isn't in the room apparently. It's Solar Sands. Wow, betrayal.
I forgot. I'm not in the left.
Disgusting.
Oh, I thought you have to make a new link every time.
No, it's the same one.
Back.
Same one, yeah.
Back. Okay.
Yep.
Spoiler alert! All right, everybody in
All right.
chat, if you were
God.
looking,
Prepare to be spoiled.
I know you've been watching Ahsoka, you haven't finished it yet. You got to get out of here now. You're about to have it spoiled. Oh god, this is when you have a friend who hasn't seen Ahsoka and they're like, please, please don't spoil it. You're like, oh god, because yeah, oof, you'd miss. Oh, just
At
imagine
least 2 things that happen.
I don't even. What would be the genuine spoilers? Anakin shows
spoil
up
both things that happen.
as a
Spoilers
ghost.
for the finale
Yes.
of Ahsoka, or the whole season, do you mean?
Just the whole. Well, at that point, you could argue it's the whole season. But yes, what would be the whole season's? What are the? If you wanted to spoil Ahsoka as a show to someone who hasn't seen it, how would you do it? And how the fastest way possible?
Use the Force. That'd probably be the big spoiler, right?
Thrawn is back in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah,
Sabine can
Thrawn
use
is
the
back.
Force. Anakin shows
Yeah.
up as a Force ghost. That's probably it.
That's right. Those are the main ones. Maybe Ezra, he got saved, you know?
It's so funny because like it starts to get a little like, do I even bother mentioning this? It's like, yeah, Ahsoka's not in the regular galaxy now. But as you highlighted when we watched it, it's like that will ultimately be highly beneficial for her by the time we.
I like how
see
if
the
you
rest of
said
it.
that to someone, she's not in the regular galaxy now, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, it's just
And
it's weird as a talking point. You're like, okay,
And
what does that mean?
Dude,
The thing that I find interesting is if the show doesn't get a second season, which let's be real, that's entirely possible. Like the viewership was not amazing.
Yeah.
And that show was probably pretty expensive. If they don't do a second season of Ahsoka, then that means that all of the plot points that I imagine that they're setting up there may go unresolved. And
So
I don't know, that seems like that might be a good thing, given that they're delving into like all the Mortis stuff.
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe we've talked about this before. Chat might remember that conversations about the idea of accepting certain aspects of Star Wars as canon or not. For me, Ahsoka's like a really easy one to essentially like. Let's put it this way: when I'm watching Empire and Lucas fighting Darth Vader, there is no part of my mind that's thinking, yeah, and also there's Ahsoka who will at some point in this world, go to an interdimensional plane that connects like timelines, and then go to another galaxy by riding in the mouth of a star whale to go fight like a bunch of Night Sisters and zombie stormtroopers. That's just not. There's no world where that's like in my mind as a thing that actually occurred in this universe.
Oh no, hell no, no.
Dude, I'm so worried that Star Wars, if it keeps going like this, we'll start doing multiverse shit.
I think we've
Yeah,
heard
man.
that's the
What
rumor,
if
that's the
Anakin-
plan with that stupid Will Between Worlds shit.
I mean, that
Really?
might be their vehicle to get Anakin, especially if Hayden Christensen's like, yeah, I mean, I could work. Like, I could.
What if Anakin didn't become Darth Vader? Ooh.
And then they bring him in so that he
no.
can actually be part of the story more long term, possibly. I mean, the thing that the fact that the grand plan for Thrawn is to create an army of zombie stormtroopers, like
That's great.
when I think about that, I kind of wonder. It's like, do they know what they're doing? Do they actually? Is this meant to be like an allegory of some kind for like the shambling corpse that is Star Wars? Just getting brought
Mind
back from the
command.
dead. But then again, it's like, it might just be that Dave was like, nah, man, like, zombie stormtroopers is cool. Like, that there is no commentary at all.
That's
on
where the thought
like,
begins and terminates.
Yeah,
There
there was no
stormtroopers are cool.
commentary on the state of Star Wars that, like, this is the only way that it can be imagined to continue is by just, reviving the dead and then having them shamble around, But no, I think it's just they want zombie stormtroopers.
He really reminds me of Zack Snyder. In a way.
The way that I've described it is like, if you imagine, like, Dave Filoni is like he's like a 12, 13-year-old ideas of storytelling, and Zack Snyder's more like a 15 or 16-year-old. That's kind of the way that I imagine it. Snyder's a bit more edgy. He thinks he's a bit more profound in terms of like the kinds of stories he's telling, whereas to me, Dave definitely feels like throwing his toys at each other, These are my toys, and Ahsoka's my OC. And then they fight each other, and they have their lightsaber battles, and then the ships fly around and blow each other up, That's kind of...
Yeah, because Snyder will, like, rip out Superman's heart and show it to the screen and be like, look at this. Meanwhile, Filoni will be like
Paradise Lost,
protecting all of his children all the time.
Yeah.
And be like, they made it in the end. Oh, look, that was scary. Ooh, that could have been bad. Here they go. Off they are.
Mhm.
Yay, we did it. That sort of stuff.
So there are similarities, but I'd give Snyder more credit than I'd give Filoni. Let's put it that way.
Oh god, I think I might agree, which is really awkward, isn't it? But it's like...
It is awkward, but especially, it might just be because Ahsoka's fresh in my mind and I had to spend a lot of time
It could
with
be
her
that,
and you
yeah.
did too. And I really do hate that show.
I could see
particularly
us,
dislike it.
when we finish up Filoni, being like, yeah, okay, Snyder's bad, but at least Snyder actually tries to do a thing and
Well, I mean,
fails at
you
it.
know,
And then,
I
but if we
like
finished up
Snyder.
watching Snyder recently, we might have said, yeah, Filoni's bad, but at least, like, he's, inoffensive. Meanwhile, Snyder will do things that are fucking crazy and insane.
Yeah, I guess I guess the thing, I do like 300, Like,
When was the last time you watched it, Fringy?
Didn't we rewatch it, did we watch it for, like, an EFAP movies? Where the takeaway was that it was, like, pretty flawed, but I still like that movie.
Well, so, you know what's crazy is, I'm pretty sure we did, but you weren't there.
I'm not sure what it was. I've definitely recently, rewatched 300. I say recently, in the last couple of years. And I'm confident my takeaway was, yeah, it's pretty flawed, but, so I do like it.
Well, that is the first EFAP movies of the war arc, so you guys are going to be able to see that in January. But, At this point, Rags, I feel like you may feel the same way. I can't quite remember anything we said like anymore. It's been a while.
I think I don't hate it. I don't think.
I don't think I hate it either. But
I hate it. I thought it had some neat little things in there, but it wasn't good.
Also,
I guess the point I'm making
wait,
is
just to clarify,
what?
you're not getting the whole war arc in January. It's going to be across the year, 1 per month, or maybe 2. That's the plan. I've talked about this like even 2 years ago. Okay, we're finally launching. That's actually why, by the way, that things are stretched thin, is because I'm putting everything in place to complete the war arc ready for January. It's not finished yet, still. But hey, it's gonna be fun. Get excited. Also, Frankie, carry on. What were we saying?
Oh damn! Well, because we're trying to figure out. It's like if we can say that Dave Filoni and Snyder are comparable in a certain way, who do we think? Who do you think if it's like you had to be forced to? Let's put it this way: they're working on something new now, and it's whatever they want to make. Like they're full carte blanche; they can make whatever they want, not attached to any specific franchise. But maybe it is. It's exactly what they want to make, and they have all of the resources to fully realize that story. Which one would you rather watch, the Snyder one or the Filoni one?
So you could just say, like, do you want to see Rebel Moon, or do you want to see, let's just say, whatever sci-fi project that's
movie.
well, not removed from Star Wars or Filoni work that's entirely what he wants.
Sure.
Which, funnily enough, if he got entirely what he wanted, it probably would be a Star Wars movie. That's probably what he wants.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Probably.
thinking in my mind.
In any case, yes, I would rather see the Snyder film
Zack
just
Snyder?
because of the fact that I don't know what I'm going to get. This could be crazy. And it also could have some stuff in there I like.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
could be some neat shots.
There's
There
that
could be
too.
some
I
interesting.
certainly consider
yeah.
Snyder to have a better eye than Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I think he's got a better.
Well,
Ahsoka show
I don't
was
want to be
so flat and
pretentious.
dull and
But
boring.
dare I
to
say,
watch.
Snyder's more of an artist than Filoni is?
Yes, he is.
I would absolutely say that. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
yeah, good. I didn't think I was
Snyder
crazy for a
is-
second there.
Yeah,
No,
Snyder's
that's
shitty,
not
but
crazy.
he is an artist.
He's cringe. That's his thing. It's not.
He is cringe.
I believe that he does have a passion for storytelling. I just think that it's cringe. Like his
15-year-old
ideas.
cringe is way less cringe than 13-year-old cringe.
Fair and agreed. And on the topic of Ahsoka, let's check out what IGN thought. It's gonna be a funny little ending to this as well. Just that was a bit of foreshadowing, but yeah.
It's October.
Wait,
it's
you
the
know
week
what?
of
Actually,
Friday the
stop. Wait, hold on. Wait. Here's an idea. Let's before we watch the finale, let's find out what IGN gave Ahsoka.
No, that was gonna be the
They-
joke ending.
We'll
do that at the end, okay? We'll
Okay,
go
sure.
into this as a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed viewer who's like, "Oh,
I
look,
have a
this
bushy
is
tail.
this is IGN's opinion on Ahsoka for sure, okay? This is what it is, all right?"
It's October, it's the week of Friday the 13th, and I'm a huge horror nerd. As you'd expect, I'd previously planned on this edition to be focused on all of the delightful tricks and treats of the season. Unfortunately,
Remember
I
when they
still can't get the
manifested the sword?
Yeah,
when
but
she
to be
did
fair,
that,
it was
they
the
ran
sword
the-
of Talzin, relation to Mother Talzin,
right.
who, if you watch the show, you'd find that that's substantive now because you recognize the name.
Yeah, that's right. She
That's
put
how
a
that
curse
works.
on Count Dooku.
Why did
and
they
then
have to
General
do that?
Grievous went along.
Would have just
I-
gotten like a sword out of a chest.
So
Wouldn't
I'm not even kidding. Like, I actually think that that's partly the plan sometimes. It's like maybe originally it was just a sword, and then they were like, can we name it something so that fans have something to think while this scene is happening? Call it the Sword of Talzin, that'll do it. And even if I don't, like, I'm not saying that it wasn't the Sword of Talzin. What I'm trying to say is that, like, there's nothing actually there other than it's that thing you know from that other thing. There's nothing of interest by that sword belonging to Mother Talzin or whatever. It's just like, what? Even for the people who are familiar with her, which, by the way, Dave, hello. Like, most people are not familiar with this. You need to help them out just a little bit.
taste of Ahsoka's season finale out of my mouth, so we'll be spending more time on the spooky stuff later this month. For now,
Alright.
the trick we're going to
Remember
talk
him.
about is the one
Remember Morok?
Remember Rock? What a great
And then how he
character.
was
Turned
fart
into
cloud.
green dust and then is gone.
Yeah, we thought. Remember how we thought? Oh, well, maybe they'll make another one. It's like, nope. He was just there to be like
Nope.
the mini boss.
Can we go
at
cynical
the
and be
halfway
like,
point.
Dave, you gotta kill somebody with a lightsaber this season. Something's gotta happen.
Oh
He's like,
yeah, I was
sure.
just about to say that. Yeah, he's there so they can have a consequence-free lightsaber kill.
So lame.
I don't really understand like So he's like magic?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
like
like
a-
he's
he
a
was-
spell
he was
in human
magic
form
in
or
a
something.
suit,
A
yeah.
spell? Oh.
And then he died.
I mean, he
Did they
could
like cast him? How does a casted spell
Well,
person
die, because I was actually going to say, how is it that a lightsaber stops the spell? Why would that happen?
Yeah. Oh. Did they just like
It's not a very good
immediately
one.
make
It's
another?
not a very good one.
They didn't make another one. He was just there.
That was it,
It's
yeah.
like it's a consequence-less kill, basically, like Rag said.
It's crazy because it would be like, wait, can you do that multiple times? Can you just make Force users with lightsabers? That's just a thing you can
why
do.
not just do that?
I mean, we know you
many
can clone
times
them, but
over?
this is just the magic version.
God,
Mhm.
Baloney, why?
The whole of Ahsoka played on the audience.
This ever happened before?
No, this is
Showcases some of Star Wars' biggest problems.
new.
Okay.
Lucky us.
I think I agree with that sentiment, so let's see where she goes with it.
At the beginning of the season, I wrote Can Ahsoka Survive Being Rebels Season 5? Amazingly, that didn't end up being its problem, at least not its biggest one. Ahsoka wasn't hamstrung by being a 5th season of a show not everyone watched, or people not
Yeah, because I actually think that's a bit of a myth. A lot of people are like, you didn't watch Rebels, and it's like, watching Rebels would change nothing about how much is in this show.
It seems like all it would do is present contradictions because people are acting out of character. That's what Theo is pointing out.
The way it would look if it were coming across as bad because we hadn't seen Rebels is if there was loads of context that we missed as to why certain things were happening. But most of the fucking
Exactly.
Rebels fans didn't know why certain things were happening.
Well, it would be like if you watched season 4 of Breaking Bad and you hadn't watched seasons 1, 2, and 3. It's just like you're in the middle of a story. You just get dropped into the middle of a story that's playing out, you know?
The crazy thing, though, is you probably could get along. Like, and then,
Probably.
you know, you'll be
Probably.
like, oh, they're referencing this older stuff that I don't know about, but I mean, you know, kind of move on with it. But
But at the same time, you would be disoriented from the get-go.
you know, when you're like, what the fuck is like when they draw all this information out of that droid that shouldn't even have been there, like all this stupid convoluted coincidences and stuff, you don't go like, yeah, but you haven't seen Rebels.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
doesn't
It
change
look like
anything.
shit.
When Hera says, I'm a general, so nothing is off the limits to me, it's like, seeing Rebels does not help that. That doesn't
Mhm.
like, that's just stupid in and of itself. That's what I mean. The most scenes, there's just nothing. And it's not like Rebels helps
it's
the fact that
people-
there's nothing here.
You know, it really
Exactly.
contextualizes those long moments
Nothings.
of silence.
understanding some of the character motivations, or who other characters were entirely. In the end, the problem was that whether it was called Ahsoka Season 1 or Rebels Season 5,
Just ready a tracking device.
it didn't end up being a
What was
season of
that?
television.
What was that edit? Why did you show that clip? Is it just because
Chopper?
he's from Rebels?
I guess, yeah. If that's it, but that's a bit.
That was an awkward bad edit. Sorry.
I thought she was gonna play a clip that was like an answer to her statement from the show.
Yeah.
But no, I was just like, oh, okay.
No
At all.
answers here.
Go on.
Instead, it was individual nostalgia plays sprinkled through long patches of well,
Nothing.
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 And what makes that so frustrating is that creator Dave Filoni absolutely rocks at delivering
No.
No, it doesn't
does
rock
he?
at anything. It rocks at nothing.
Well, let's.
Sorry, you cut it off.
Yeah,
before
I was
she
gonna.
said
Say,
what
I
it
did
was.
cut her off because I'm mean. Let's see what she said. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
agree with her.
rocks at delivering impactful, emotional, engaging, and most importantly, original Star Wars stories.
What?
No,
What?
You're
No,
mad.
nope.
Why would you
No,
show
no.
this image when saying
And why would
original?
you show this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
This is not
on.
original. This is not original in multiple ways. First of all, Darth Vader, character he didn't create, so there's that. Then there's also the fact that this is a flashback to another show that already exists.
And then,
It's a
of course, there's the
flashback
fact that
to
the
another
imagery
story.
has been used like by every
Many
director
times
that's ever
at
fucking
this
tackled
point.
Star Wars at this point.
Yeah. It's like it is layers of unoriginality here.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of incredible, isn't it?
Or
Why didn't she just show like Ahsoka? That's his character, I guess. make
Yeah,
more
there,
sense.
I
there,
don't know why they showed this visual.
if I was asked to show a visual for saying he knows how to make like original stories and stuff or whatever, I'd just be like, yeah, just show Ahsoka with
Show
Anakin in the
Sabine
Clone
or
Wars.
something.
Well, yeah, Ahsoka and Sabine, two originals in an original
Yeah.
scene from an original show. Like, it's like, yeah.
Exactly.
Even the Sith people, I mean, they're like
Yeah, like Balin is
Original.
he's kind of original, I guess. He's an
Red.
original character, and he's a little bit less archetypal, I guess.
Slightly.
Slightly less.
You almost want to say like
archetypal.
he's pretending to be non-archetypal. Like that's what's going on there.
At least he usually does. I want to be clear. I love the character Ahsoka. Harrison Dula, criminally underused in this season, is one of the best.
No, we got enough.
We got a lot of her.
Yeah, it's not that she wasn't used;
Yeah.
it's that the use was terrible.
The use was awful. I remember, like, in the first episode, it's like, oh, you're pretty normal. And then episode 2, that little conversation she had already, it's like, ooh. But then fucking C-3PO emerging from the fucking ether to get her off the hook for going on this unsanctioned mission that got multiple people killed. It's just like, oh, man.
Yeah, not underused. Not underused.
Yeah.
That's not the problem. In fact, that might have been the problem, because if she was really good and had the same amount of screen time, I might have been saying, like, where the hell was she should have been in more of this, you know, that sort of thing. That's not the problem that we had.
Contemporary Star Wars characters. I even quickly grew to love Ezra Bridger after catching up on Rebels and meeting him in live action in this new series.
He was
he
chill.
was okay.
He was fine.
Yeah, he was okay. There's still problems with the way that he acted, but, you know.
Yeah.
I hope she's...
No,
is she going to
seriously.
compliment Sabine?
And there were even a couple
No.
of episodes of Ahsoka that really tugged at my Star Wars loving heart. The
Okay, but
Man.
if the point of this
episode
video is
five.
going to be what I think it is, then you should be recognizing that that's all that episode was. That's designed to just go.
first 2 episodes really felt like Star Wars.
No, I don't even
No,
know.
No, they didn't.
Nah,
This
nope.
was dumb, and all the all the Alliance people were fucking dumb.
You're
And that's the thing, if it's
Republic
dumb all the time, then it just doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Well, it feels like
Mhm.
shit Clown Wars, as Jeremy puts it. Like it's like this. It's just this bullshit other world where it's a parody of Star Wars. It's like Spaceballs. You're just like, this is
Yeah,
dumb
it's
as
a
fuck.
galaxy where everyone is stupid.
Yeah, like I just as Frankie pointed out, right? Like I'm never gonna imagine, you know, like the stupid witches and whatever, like
Yeah,
them
they're not
talking in the
canon.
same room
Sorry.
as Luthen. That's never. I don't conceive
No.
of that being a thing. That's not
No
gonna
way.
happen. And I also would be like,
So
well,
wait-
it can't happen timeline wise. I'm like, no, just the fact that
No,
those
I
exist
mean
in the same
that
universe. Yeah.
In the same way that I don't believe that Han Solo dropped Cthulhu into a black hole. I don't
No.
believe that happened.
That was
I don't
Lucas's
believe that-
vision, though.
I don't
That's what he
believe
was
when we-
thinking.
Like there's so much that you can do that can essentially just make me go, no, that didn't happen. No matter how much you say it happened, I'm never gonna treat it like it did. And it's funny, the sequel trilogy is getting there now for me, where it's just like, yeah, that didn't happen. You know, yeah, they won, they saved the day, and everything was fine, and Luke didn't turn into a hermit who drinks green milk.
Yeah.
Not that
from
there's
the
anything wrong with drinking green milk specifically, but you know.
Necessarily.
But kids, if you go home and your milk is green, please
Yeah,
don't
probably
drink
don't.
it.
Probably
Unless
don't
it's some
drink
kind of Nickelodeon
Unless it's a-
special
You might
milk
need a
that's
knife
yeah,
and fork
colored.
to eat it at
that.
that
Well,
point, but
unless it's
please
colored,
don't eat
you know, because milk can have different.
You can color it,
permutations.
sure,
You
yeah.
can get green milk. Just
That's
make
right.
sure that
Like for St. Patrick's Day, you could put some green dye in your milk.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
is that something that people
get
do?
some
With
Probably.
get
green
some
dye in
leprechaun
their
milk. Yeah. The
leprechaun-
milking of the
Why-
leprechaun
That's
is
a-
a
Why do we
cherished
presume, why
tradition.
do
Yeah.
we presume that the leprechaun's milk would be
Are
green?
mammals?
I mean, I
I assume leprechauns are mammals.
What I'm
Therefore,
saying is, why would we presume
milk
that
for
their
their
milk
young.
is green? Yeah, but green? Why would it be
Yeah.
green?
because they're leprechauns.
Okay,
It's just very
you know,
intuitive.
I mean, to be
It's
fair, I don't
intuitive,
think
right?
this is something that started up by a old gay Pinto or whatever. So you may not have seen it in
Mm.
Australia yet because he's very much America
Yeah.
focused.
Does he have a painting of a leprechaun with
Yeah,
green
it's-
milk shooting at him?
Man, what he gets up to, like I said, very controversial in the 90s when he introduced leprechaun milk. That was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it's big. Most people have come to accept that now. Gay Pinto Walsh,
I
of course.
Okay. Right.
which never stops being a great feeling. And yeah, of course the Anakin episode got me in my feelings. It's the music.
Why?
It's
Damn.
always the damn music.
So, well, but
That
Uh,
might literally just be the music. You
Well,
hear
then
the
if you're
music and
acknowledging
you have,
that- shouldn't you be listing it as part of the problem? Maybe she will. I don't know. It just sounds like that's you complimented the episode just a second ago for getting at your heart. Ugh.
Also, I didn't find the music that interesting throughout the whole season, if I'm being honest.
It's just-
pretty just fine.
It's really hard for me not to see a cartoonishly like huge Dave Filoni in the background holding these two with his hands and being like,
yeah.
"Ooh, pew, pew, ooh, yeah, ooh, wow, boo, pew,
Yeah.
yeah."
It might be just a Pavlovian response to hearing the music. I just heard the Star Wars music. Oh,
It's a Star
Yeah.
Wars.
It's a Star Wars, and then my eyes did a sad.
But getting me in my feelings is easy, as I'm secretly
Oh,
a
really?
huge sap, a secret that will remain between
Well, I mean,
us.
the fact that okay, but I
Once you
mean, the fact
admitted
that she said that seems to speak to a recognition that this isn't that like
It was a bit
they didn't
mixed.
accomplish much by doing that, you know?
It
Because
made me
remember she
cry,
said-
but I am a big, sap.
Her huge compliment to Dave was referencing this episode in terms of his abilities, and now she's saying, well, to be fair, it's pretty easy to get to my heart with something like this when you're using this music, and to be fair, I'm like a huge sap. It's just like, wait, so did he do well or not with this one?
Yeah, maybe she'll clarify.
Maybe.
Let's see.
And television series have a job to tell a complete story regardless of whether or not they're meant to lead.
Oh, do we want to go
No,
controversial with this?
Controversial is no, they don't actually.
Complete story. That's complicated. So, like, if imagine someone said, "I fucking hate Empire Strikes Back because it doesn't tell a complete story."
Mm-hmm. What exactly does it mean to tell a complete story that's part of a bigger story? It's not. There's no clear cut rules on that.
As we know, we're all incredibly excited for Rings of Power Season 2 because Season 1 is not complete. There are still threads
That's
to
right.
solve.
There's so many things I need to know.
I
so many
need to
questions
know.
unanswered.
It's
So-
Forgot
just
that show
and
existed.
if we're saying it for a season, why don't we narrow it down even more? Why not an episode? Why shouldn't that be the idea? Because people used to make those arguments. You
Well,
know,
let's-
any episode of TV could be someone's first episode, so you need to write it with that understanding. But we're in a place where I think if you told that to a lot of people now, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
You
Like,
might
no, that's not how it
describe
works at all.
the ending of Arcane as incomplete. Like Season 1,
But
maybe.
at the same time, it's complete in its incompleteness.
Yes.
I would say it is.
Well, there are
I
several
would say it
threads
is
that have
completeness.
started and stopped, and new ones will start for Season 2, and new ones will be finished from that started in Season 1. You got loads of them running at the same time, but a major part of Season 1 is all, like, Vi and Jinx's relationship across all the events, right? And there's that event at the end is significant of, like, a particular route that the relationship has taken. So I understand. One could argue it is complete, and I'd be like, no, yeah, I understand that. It's just that I don't want to put the weight on Ahsoka Season 1 that its problem is that it's incomplete. I'd be like, well, no,
No, that's not the problem.
there's like not even a story.
They had a good 5-6 hours there to tell their story, which, by comparison, I mean, we just watched Fall of the House of Usher. That was 8 hours. That was 8 episodes.
It was fucking
It's like
dense.
There's
It
a
was
lot of stuff
incredible.
going on in there.
At the end of episode 1, we've already got like maybe 5 or 6 episodes of Ahsoka in terms
Yeah.
of the amount of content that's being delivered. Maybe more.
I was
maybe
about to say,
more,
I think there's more in one episode of
Yeah.
Usher than there is in the whole season for
And then the
Ahsoka.
whole season, that might well be the case. And then of course you can point to other, like, Andor was Andor was pretty long by comparison, 12 episodes. It's like, yeah, but Andor had essentially created a completed arc in 3 episodes, but it was still, complete in its incompleteness because the story was still going.
Yeah.
It's just, and of course Andor's not complete either,
No.
right? But does she think that's a problem with Andor? That the story
Maybe
is
she
very
does.
clearly- Oh, maybe, but
Into
We shall
something
see.
else.
Fuck this bait shit, man. Look at the statues, the references, the
statue,
board
something.
is...
Ahsoka doesn't just not tell a complete story, but the fraction of the story it does tell just hangs in the air like the big bad thing they were all trying to stop all season long. Thrawn returning to the main galaxy doesn't matter at all.
Well, no, no. I don't understand what she's saying.
I wouldn't quite put it
thing.
that way. Like, it's...
My criticism of the show is that, like, wow, Sabine, good job. This is on you. And
Yeah,
this
you
is
facilitated
massive.
this all.
You
You were the one who
facilitated
made it happen, and the show does not recognize that you
It
did
was
this.
the critical point at which everything could have been put to an end, and she didn't do it, and that is hugely consequential because Thrawn coming back and creating a zombie, like, stormtrooper army is probably going to be hugely consequential. So no, I would say that the idea that it's like devoid of... Is that what she's actually saying? Like that it was devoid
mean,
of
Well,
consequence?
if I'm being generous, it sounds like she's saying that this event was treated as the big, bad, horrible thing that we want to avoid, and it happens, and then the characters are kind of chill about it. Which is...
If
Yeah,
that's true,
I thought that I
that's
thought
true,
that was
yeah.
what she's saying
Well,
because
but...
Okay.
they should all be acting like the Avengers at the end of Infinity War, shouldn't they? Like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
like this is a tragedy sort of thing. But
Yeah.
not only are
But
they
they're
not
just,
like
like,
that,
smirking.
Ahsoka's like, we're exactly where we need to be, smile.
Whatever.
But I don't know, she phrased it in a way that threw me off as well.
And long, Thrawn returning to the main galaxy doesn't matter at all.
Like, I would argue the show thinks it absolutely matters that they're showing us that we're going to have some dire consequences as a result. The characters are out of character in this moment, though. They're weird, but they're kind of weird throughout the show. The big criticism, like, everyone had this since episode 1, was like, why is it that all 3 of our main characters are all so fucking wooden? What's going on? Especially when we know that they're played by actresses that are capable of a hell of a lot more. At least 2 of them are.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 or 3 of them are, yeah.
By the end of the season, not a single one of our main characters addresses the fact that the very thing everyone was trying to stop happened.
Oh,
gonna jump
good.
that.
Okay.
Okay, I agree.
There you go. Okay.
We get-
fine. Interesting.
I don't want to bat for the show at all, but I'm just saying we do get Sabine saying sorry for having caused this to happen with Thrawn, and then Ahsoka says, I know. And
That
that's
was
it.
before, though, wasn't it?
It will, yeah,
That was-
but the recognition of the consequence of Thrawn may very well escape now because he's got the potential to. Like, that's still.
Yeah, but like, yes, but I don't believe Sabine. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna move into saying that I thought that scene was fucking terrible. Like
Oh yeah.
it's what an absolute crazy waste of conflict to just have all the characters be like, oh well.
No, it's
No.
okay.
No, well, you win some, you lose some. You live, you learn. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Unless it doesn't,
Yeah,
because Thrawn's back and he's gonna destroy us all.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah.
So was it stop Mauler? You don't buy that? What do you mean? The thing that happened? Like that's.
he said the scene was shit.
But it did happen. I'm not going
It
to
did
take that away from
happen.
the show. They had her say sorry, and Ahsoka said that's all right or whatever. Like that did happen. If they had
She
never
might have
acknowledged
actually
it,
said
I would have
that's
said
all
it's
right
much
or
worse.
whatever.
But I was more shocked that like it actually managed to get through. I was half expecting none of the characters to say anything to Sabine.
Well, the fact that we went for like a couple episodes there with nobody talking about it.
Yeah.
But then remember, their conversation was cut short by an ambush. Oh no, wait! Their conversation ended, and then the ambush happened because that's the Dave Filoni signature. You know, can't be slow for too long. We need to get a fight in there.
It's that you're bringing it up even though it's nothing that defends the show. It does defend the show slightly. It's
It depends it a little bit.
it's important to be fair to point out that it was recognized. It's just really shittily, which is still better than not recognizing it at all. Which is exactly what Ezra did. I don't believe we had any line from Ezra about Thrawn, did we? Like
No.
and Sabine's responsibility on that. Someone else I saw someone point out that was interesting in the comments for one of our coverages of it. It was like, did they seriously take a huge break in order to have Ezra build a lightsaber when like everything was hyper urgent? It's like, yes, they didn't even just have Hu Yang give him one, make him one quick. He's a robot.
Well, and also they were just like going walking pace, just like floating around.
Yeah, and if anyone wanted to say like a Jedi has to build their own lightsaber, it's like, oh, we're urgent right now, urgent. The things are happening.
But you're not Jedi because the order is.
That's another thing people say as well. So it just gets to the point where you're like, it's so fucking complicated.
Ahsoka is completely at peace, seemingly indifferent to the threat that the galaxy faces, despite the entire.
So I think what Filoni would tell you is that no, she knows what she's got a job to do, but she's zen now. She doesn't stress out. She doesn't panic. She knows what's to be done, and she will do it. She's like Yoda. Even though Yoda showed a lot more anxiety in his later years than Ahsoka has at all, at least in this.
The entire motivation of her character has been to stop Thrawn since her introduction into the live-action stories. Then Hera and Ezra
she did a bad
meet
job.
up, and neither exchanges a word about what his return means.
A lot of the characters barely talk at all. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Like when I watch The Lord of the Rings, I get this very clear sense that Frodo and Sam went to destroy the ring and Mount Doom and all that stuff, and all the scenes. You're like, oh, they're doing this because they're on their way to Mount Doom, or they have to do this so that they can get to Mount Doom. It's all like in service to that actual goal. And there's a sense of like passion and determination that goes along with that. But in this show, if you were to say, oh yeah, the scene where they're just sort of like walking around or standing around or just sort of just meandering in this field, yeah, they're trying to stop Thrawn from destroying the galaxy or whatever. I'd be like, I don't believe you. How they don't get no, they're like taking a break or walking or something.
Well, yeah, because
There's no sense of urgency at all.
there's like 17 issues with the way Ezra arrives here, but another thing that sucks is like his expression should just not be happy. I'm sorry, there's way too much negative, even though he gets to reunite with Hera. I understand that that's a positive, but like, can you imagine the amount of bad news he's about to tell them?
Well, why did it? Isn't it interesting? He didn't try to like kill Thrawn, right? He just let him sort of escape.
Presumably, he got onto a ship and left as soon as he could. We didn't see any of that, so yeah.
And decided that it wasn't worth taking a shot at Thrawn.
He had a lightsaber with him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting that he was more willing to do it as a kid, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. That's I guess I would need to watch more of Rebels before I could make any more criticism of that.
Well, just tactical retreat or something.
Yeah.
The excitement these characters show to be reunited is important, of course, but
Excitement they show.
not at the cost of engaging with your story's own stakes.
True.
It would have been as easy as following up their tear-brimmed smiles with the dawning realization of what seeing each other truly meant, or even...
I don't even think...
God.
Yeah, even the happy feels wholesomeness was kind of crap. They didn't...
Yeah.
It felt like artificial.
I will hug you, and I will hug you as well.
I will
this
now
is
giggle.
a symbol of my affection for you.
Yeah.
Initiating giggle procedures. Procedure
Ezra
complete.
pointing it out to Hera, who may not have realized that his return included the return of Thrawn.
And you could even have her recognizing that. She'd be like, wait, if you're here... And then he's
Where's
like,
Thrawn?
you know, and he's just looking at her and she's looking at him like they're both stern. Because they both know what it means. Instead of like, hee, hello, oh, yay.
Sabine, however, has made it abundantly clear that she's willing to sacrifice a whole galaxy if it means getting Ezra back home, so at least one person's reaction makes sense here. That's it.
Hers still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it makes sense.
She doesn't. I don't think that she.
Having her be the character that says like, but oh no, things aren't as great as they could be.
I think, you know, you point to remember how she reacted when she saw that Ahsoka was alive, and remember how she reacted when Ezra was basically asking like, "What's happened? You know, where is Ahsoka?" And she's just it's just like, "Oh, it's complicated." And she just nods and says, "Yeah." It's like, dude, you think she's dead?
The only thing you can assume with that is that the actress genuinely wasn't like given the correct direction. Because why would you portray her like that when she believes that she's not only lost like her mentor, but one of her best friends, one of the most important people in the world, who's trying to save? You know what I mean? It's just like how could you possibly buy that that's what's being expressed there, as opposed to the actress being like, yeah, she's fine, she'll be back.
Because I was profoundly unimpressed by Sabine's actress, but even she would be able to distinguish between like normalness and sadness.
This is what I mean about.
Portrayed.
That's why I said direction, yeah, because like it's no way this actress is unable to look sad. Like I'm pretty sure most people can pull it off, even Gal Gadot. If you just you like look down and be like, just don't say a thing. There you go, you've nailed it.
Just end there. Why? Well, because we're either setting up Dave Filoni's movie or Ahsoka Season 2.
I love how that's just everyone's assumption at this point. Like that's how bad it's gotten, Disney. Nobody believes like that you're doing this for any other reason than try to sell something else.
Which, you know, Ahsoka Season 2, is that a likely prospect?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, and remember, didn't Bob Iger say that they're gonna be cutting
Well,
back
imagine-
costs on these productions as
Imagine
well, so.
all of the catastrophic results of the recent stuff with Marvel, and you walk from Marvel as like a big ol' up top person for Disney, walk into the studios for like the live action stuff, and you're like, good god, this is a fucking circus on fire. Everybody's running around screaming, and this just nobody likes what we're doing, and good god, okay,
At least there's some passion.
you guys do you. I'm gonna go check out Star Wars. It's like, oh, how's Mandalorian season 3? Yeah, how we doing? It's like, numbers aren't great. It's like, okay, Ahsoka, numbers aren't great.
It's like the numbers are worse actually for that one. Yeah, it's not great. It's like, how much money do we spend on this? Oh, well over $100 million. Maybe closer to $200 million.
Just wait.
Each?
Oh,
And we'll get Ahsoka teaming up with Simba, teaming up with Iron Man to reignite all of the franchises.
what do you think they can actually? Because now we've got the projections for the Marvels ain't great. They're pretty low.
Panicking. They are panicking, for sure.
Yeah,
Especially with the
I would
actors and
say-
writers' strikes. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The absolute
Which,
chunks getting taken out of Hollywood right now is crazy.
Well,
I have a
I'm
feeling
not,
that in like 50 years from now, this era will be looked back on as like where Hollywood had to make enormous, like significant changes.
something has to change because you can't be spending over $200 million on a movie with your long-term domestic projections at like 120 to 150 million dollars.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Or I think it might have been a little. What was it? I think the projection. I think the top end was like $180 million domestic for the Marvels, which I think is lower than Ant-Man got.
I think there's
The key is they need to find someone who can write stories that are exciting, like with good fighting sequences, but have good characters.
Yeah.
Because good characters alone ain't selling it to Star Wars fans. Because they've just been, they've been conditioned.
They
I
need
guess at this
the
point.
spectacle, which I understand and I'm okay with.
Yeah,
like having a
gotta be able to
spectacle.
do both.
Something I struggle with is I don't know that these. I've said this so many times, but I'm becoming more and more certain of it. It's like I don't think they can accurately diagnose the problems that they have. There was that recent news now where Marvel's basically admitted, yeah, we have problems on our TV side. And everybody's like, oh yeah, no, true. But then I listen to that, it's like, oh, on the TV side, yeah? On the TV side, with the implication that the movie side is doing okay, you know?
Doing just fine.
And their last hit was Guardians 3?
Well, so Guardians 3,
Yes.
because yeah, Secret Invasion did not. I think Loki's viewership is okay, like that one has done better.
Mhm.
But it'll be interesting to see what its long term is. But Guardians 3 was successful, but Guardians 3's opening was under, and I think it's still kind of like it was a success, but it's like you know.
Well,
like
it has to be recognized.
Maybe it should have done better than that, you know.
It has to be recognized by the higher ups. Guardians 3 was not made the same way that those others are getting made.
No,
James Gunn would have
exactly.
been given a lot of power.
And also,
And it shows.
You know, it has more of a meta sense that people know that this is kind of different than the other Marvel films. Whereas I think the Marvels will sort of be, again, more of an accurate test of, like, what exactly is people's interest in a generic Marvel movie.
Well, from
like
what we can
really standard Marvel movie.
what we can gather from the eras, the Marvels has been created in the same way Quantumania was, in the same way MOM was, in the same way a lot of them have been.
The division between Phase 4 and 5 just doesn't mean anything.
No.
You're making things the same way.
It's it'll be still a few films from now before they're gonna try a different formula, because they're trying a different formula soon with TV shows, right? It may bleed into films at some point.
So here's the thing, though. Apparently, Disney still wants to keep their release dates for, like, Deadpool 3, which is meant to come out in May, and they haven't finished shooting it yet. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, man. Like, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna, like, try to get that one out on time? Like, really? You're gonna keep that date? And I think, and it's because, you know, the aspects of the business that people don't think about as much, which is they got shareholders to appease, and when you push movies out of, you know, it's like that's money that you're not making this year.
That's the thing we read recently about Lords of the Fallen, like, got fucking crippled by the fact that they had to, you know, appease certain contract / stockholders, and then also move it to a superior engine, quote unquote, and like it's given the game all of these launch problems that the fucking dev team are like scrambling over.
Well, and you know, it's Cyberpunk. It's an often not known thing. I'm pretty sure that in 2020, because Cyberpunk 2077 that came out in 2020, right? I'm pretty sure at some point in 2020. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think CD Projekt was actually like the largest company in Poland based on its market cap. I think that's the case when that game was coming out. And it's like, yeah, those kinds of pressures are going to influence, you know, whether or not a game's getting delayed or not. Because when you delay the game, you know, the stock price goes down, right? People get a little bit antsy, and it's like, yeah, these are the kinds of things that can influence the decision making.
Yeah, and they're not going away. These things will be there forever.
No, these sorts of pressures will always be there.
These are two things that should be wildly exciting, but now could end up in Star Wars purgatory with the rest of the franchise's many abandoned projects for all I care. Seasons of television are not commercials. They are...
Star Wars ones are, or Disney ones are. Like this, it's funny because she's kind of put it...
commercials.
It's so sad, though. Do you remember, didn't James Gunn tweet about, like, we're in a sad state of affairs if people are more excited for the fucking after-credits scene than the episode or the film? Like, what the hell? How do we get here? What's going on?
I think this is going to be, like, I'm pretty confident this will be looked back as most embarrassing a stage of media in human history. One of the most embarrassing.
Yeah, I would buy
great.
one of them because it's hard to see it when you're in the middle of it, but like, good God, the list of examples at this point is absolutely nuts, and to have converted a money printer into like a Disney Plus screensaver is something to behold. Like, good job, guys.
Foundations for what's to come. But Ahsoka Season 1 can't stand on its own because there's no foundation built. It's just a string of happenings until Ahsoka and Sabine are stranded and Thrawn's back in Galaxy Prime.
She's spitting, okay? This is just true.
Yeah, this is all. Wow, IGN.
Yeah, I know. IGN saying this.
How did this chick get hired? How'd she slip through the cracks?
And if none of our primary characters give a about that, then why should we as viewers?
I like how none of those
Part of the
stormtroopers see
legacy.
Sabine in the back, or Ahsoka in the back.
I like
That's
how
insane.
the
There were like 2
stormtroopers-
dozen stormtroopers, like 20 feet behind him, and none of them were able to hit Ahsoka in the back, or just hit Ahsoka at all. That's fucking nuts.
I like how when they were turned into shambling, brainless fucking zombies, literally, like magical zombies, that they were far more effective. Like, they actually made the heroes run away. It's just funny.
Part of that legacy is one of death
Uh-oh.
and war.
But you're more than that.
Nostalgia is great. I love nostalgia, but
I hate
it's meant to be a
nostalgia
single
now.
tool
Oh, just, as she just said, it's a tool. Use it properly. Use it respectfully, please.
in your arsenal rather than your only instrument. Skywalkers have been so aggressively shoehorned into so many stories that they don't need to be in that it's getting to the point that I don't even want to hear the name anymore.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes,
this is
she's got
jeez,
it.
Wow, yes, true.
I can't believe they gave us stupid World Between Worlds Anakin. Next episode, stupid, well, like, hologrammal references to Anakin. And then we had Force Ghost Anakin too. It's like, you gave us 3 different fucking Anakins. Stop.
Why isn't he showing up to Luke?
Why isn't Luke invested in getting the robot that has all of the information about the Jedi and their construction and their fall? Why would Luke be talking to Hu Yang constantly? He'd be like, please print out everything you know into books
That's an
now.
incredible conversation that, if written well, I would be super interested in. Well, the Empire's basically fallen now. I gotta restart the Jedi Order, or I feel that's right. I have to learn from the mistakes of the past. I'm gonna have this talk with Hu Yang. What happened? Does the robot have any personal feelings about it? What would that conversation look like?
Yeah.
The master was General Anakin Skywalker.
Listen to me, I am 6 blues.
The galaxy is vast. There are so many
No. Not this
Oh my
one.
God, is
No,
she
this
about
is a
to
tiny
make
galaxy.
the point that in a massive galaxy, there's many, many, many stories you could tell about many different people who aren't Skywalkers.
Can you, though? Can you?
Oh.
Is that possible? Sounds like
Oh my
it isn't.
goodness.
I'm particularly cynical about this after Andor, of course. Like, we stretch
Yeah.
out, and then it fades, and you're like, no.
rich stories worth exploring, and all Star Wars seems capable of doing is returning to the same well over and over again.
Yep.
True.
One is never too old to learn, Snips.
I enjoy Luke. I adore Leia. Their stories are over, but not as over.
Okay, wait.
Why are
Like,
you showing those images?
no, it's not even
I
just
guess
that.
she didn't probably do the video editing.
I always hated this attitude. I've talked about it so many times, but when people are like, why are they even in the sequel trilogy? Their stories are told. It's like, fuck off. What do you mean?
They need it's if the sequel trilogy takes place in any span of time where they are still alive, they need to
They're
be present
major
in it.
players in this
Very
universe.
major.
Of course they...
If they're not physically present as like actors and characters in the show, they have to be referenced, and they need to, I don't want that to be too like have to, need to, but they probably should be referenced, and there needs to be a lot of allusions to them existing and what they did.
It's frustrating because there's so many assumptions are being run at the same time. First, that like they've had a story, therefore they've had their story, as if we can't have more stories for a single character. And then secondly, just because you don't have an arc to give a character does not mean they cannot be in a story. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You know,
It's
static
insane.
characters are okay.
and yeah, like she's almost there, right? She's like, stop digging them up and throwing them on. Like, I'm tired of seeing them. But when you move that into their stories were told, you didn't need to do anything else. Like, I don't think that applies necessarily to fucking Luke Skywalker, who's about to build a whole new world after destroying the. It's like there's
I
obviously.
mean, remember
a story
before
there.
Disney took over, there were whole games and books written about
people loved.
Luke and what he did and what he was doing, and people did love them.
Whereas their
Disney was like,
fathers
"Fuck that shit."
is meant to be. Ahsoka Tano is much more than her master. Why then are most of the only parts of the series worth engaging with when Anakin is around?
It's not even worth engaging with.
I don't even think it's worth. That's not the worst that it is. But
It's not that he shouldn't have been in the series at all. There's justification there, just as there was for young Luke and Leia to be involved in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But
no.
Like, I'm trying to be nice. Like, you can write it so that there is, but like, wouldn't it have been far more interesting to have Obi-Wan Kenobi going on his adventure that doesn't regard everything, doesn't literally fucking repeat a lot of the beats of Revenge of the Sith? Like, what are you doing? Because that has the same problem, right? But I guess that's what she's saying. That show would have had the same problem, even though there is justification to have Leia and Luke show up in it. Like, yeah, I suppose, but we don't, like, I just... Oh, how they handled that. That's some PTSD flashbacks as well.
Ahsoka is meant to be Dave Filoni's pride and joy. How is she out here playing second fiddle to a corpse?
Listen, I'm teaching you how to lead, how to survive.
Wait. Oh, because she mean, I guess because she, but he's not dead here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird to call him a corpse. Unless she's saying Hayden Christensen's a bad actor in general, maybe.
I don't think that's
I
what she's
think-
saying.
I
I
don't-
think she's
yeah.
saying that Darth Vader's dead.
He's
like
dead,
Anakin
yeah.
Skywalker's dead.
I get that, but at the same time, he is very much alive in these sequences. Like we're dealing with a living.
no.
This is even a flashback. This is supposed to have happened like as this is happening. So there's like a fair competition there. But, I would rather compare her performance to Hu Yang. I think that would be way better. Like, how is it possible that just those eye changes and the subtle bits that David Tennant is putting into the performance, despite the fact that he's been told to play a robot, is doing so much more for expression than Rosario Dawson? How is that happening?
And to do that, you're going to have to fight.
I don't know what happened here, or how Ahsoka never ended up being a show about Ahsoka, but it's a tremendous bummer and a rare miss from the creator.
Yeah.
That's a common. It seems to be a common L.
Yeah.
He's had control over at least somewhat of. Didn't he have Mandalorian episodes went to Dave Filoni? Certain ones.
Yeah. Yep. He's executive producer.
All
as
of
well,
his
so.
toys. He gets to play with all of his toys all the time in their shit.
Because of him, though, his toys could be awesome if someone who didn't treat them as toys had control over it.
A miss that could have been avoided if the title character was allowed to stand on her own 2 feet with a single shred of her personality.
Stand on her own 2 feet wouldn't be what I would cite as an issue. It's the second part, the shred of her personality. That's the problem for me. Yeah.
And the implication that there is a shred of one.
Mm-hmm.
Before anyone goes blaming Rosario Dawson, we've seen her show emotion and be engaging on The Mandalorian.
So maybe we should be more critical.
No, we haven't.
Well, I thought she was just going to go the direction of we know Rosario Dawson can act.
You know that she can act, which is true.
I wonder if we should make room for more criticism, though, even with that being said. If an actor can act and chooses not to, or doesn't assist a project in a sense of being like, I'm just going to phone it in, the director doesn't care and I don't care, should that still then have some weight on them as an actor in terms of like, well, that's not great. The opposite of this, I would say, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's not a project that he won't go fucking ham in, basically.
Nicolas Cage, something like that.
People who
He
just
always
are
seems to
like,
care.
I don't care what this thing is, I'm putting my shit in here, I'm doing it. And it's like, yeah, that's great. That's an aspect of acting that is awesome, you know? And should Rosario Dawson get some criticism for not having done much at all?
I think so.
I think, yeah, like there should be something there, even with the caveat that we know she's... it's not a commentary on her potential, it's a commentary on what she chose to do.
Especially since, you know, there's a lot of other people in the show who are also giving comparable performances, you know?
Someone just said, yeah, Charles Dance, even though he had like freaking 5 lines in Godzilla, they're all great, like delivered.
He's still real good in Godzilla.
This is not a performance issue.
Kanan took the one.
It still is a performance issue, though.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The other I held on to in case he ever needed it. It is proper that you should have it.
Just to clear something up right out of the gate, I love fan service. I love a little nerdy moment. They're great, they're fun. And, once again, they are tools.
The Honorable Senator Organa has become aware of an unfortunate...
Pause just in
I can't
case.
believe that they brought in C-3PO.
To bail
Again.
out Hera and in the crossfire deal damage to Leia and Mon Mothma as well.
Well, and the Republic. Let's be honest.
And the Republic.
This is an insane event that took place. There should be
I
records
really
that
don't
definitively
understand.
prove this easily, that this is all insane perjury nonsense.
I don't understand why, like, the Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau shows have, like, consistently characterized the New Republic as either incompetent or antagonistic when they replace the Empire. I don't get it.
Yeah, it really undermines the payoff of Return of the Jedi. You put
Well, it's
these
just-
guys in charge? Ugh. I mean, at least the Empire kept the trains running on time.
Just picture, like, it's just so funny to see the corruption reflected so hard. It's just like, guys, this is not good. You're not supposed to show this happening. How is this any different than fucking Palpatine getting all of his preferential treatment? Fucking, yeah.
It's one of those, like, well, if the events of the original trilogy never happened and the state of the universe was just as it was after the Clone Wars, then, I mean, arguably, the galaxy might be in a better off spot. The First Order started off by blowing up 5 planets. That's
which was
nuts.
retarded. And that's the thing. The Empire was insane in the end by, like, you know, blowing up places like Alderaan and stuff. But I was gonna say the irony, I guess, is that the idea we often talked about for a potential sequel trilogy was Leia becoming hawkish, right?
Yeah.
And you could write something like this, where Leia's got a team that she prefers, led by Hera, and they do something that the viewers are like, I don't know about that mission, and Leia clears it instantly. She's like, yep, they're good, they're fine, they're my guys. And you have a character who's like, you can't do that. Then she's like, yeah, I can.
I can. I'm a general.
Yeah, I saved the galaxy.
And you can already picture the scene. There's no soundtrack. It's all very, like, dry and a bit worrying.
Yeah.
And it's, like, set up. It's foreshadowing for where Leia's going right now, or the problems. But this show, look how fucking, like, sitcom-level lighting we have, and just how chill everything is and wholesome, and we start giggling about how we've taken over the government for ourselves. We can just do whatever we want. It's like, whoa, that's weird. That's not quite right.
Situation.
They are never.
That was another thing that just struck me about this show. I hate how flatly shot everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder can have interesting shots.
Yep.
So there. I mean, that's something. It gives my eyes some kind of, something.
Under any circumstance,
Like, look
meant
at
to be
it. Look
the
at
whole
that shot. That wasn't very.
The Anakin one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bang. Star Wars lately? Nearly nothing but fan service. Not you.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Not you,
okay,
Andor.
A
Wait.
good hunk of the Mandalorian. You're doing great, sweeties.
No,
hold
Mandalorian. What? You can't cite Mandalorian season 2 as doing great. That was one of the ones that did it loads. I want to make sure. Hang on. Maybe she said something else. Hang on.
Or a good hunk of the Mandalorian. You're doing great, sweetie.
She said a good hunk of it. Which is weird when she's showing a visual of season 2, because season 1, I would argue, is the least fan service of the 3.
Luke is standing off frame.
Yeah,
you know?
so
He's
weird.
right
Maybe that's why she said a good hunk of it. Because
Yeah.
like specifically
Maybe.
like the Pedro Pascal Baby Yoda stuff isn't fan service, but the Luke stuff is. So,
Yeah, maybe.
but that was probably one of the biggest fan service moments. It was designed to apologize for TLJ. That scene. Look, Luke's killing
Essentially.
loads of robots. Look at him go.
He's
He's
not
strong.
a loser.
Sweeties. Even shows I enjoy, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bless
Oh,
it,
damn.
it's pointless.
Why? I
Fucking-
don't understand. I don't understand you.
I hate that choreography in their fight. It sucks so much ass.
It's really bad.
Obi-Wan and Darth Vader right after. It's just like, why are you showing me this? Stop it. it's so awkward.
Bless it, it's pointless, but I had a good time. Are wrapped up in this never-ending cycle of, well, it's what the fans want.
I don't want it.
I don't want that shit.
The job of a creative isn't to give viewers exactly what they want. The job of a creative is to give them what they never thought they could have wanted.
I feel like it's a balance between the two of them, actually. A
Yeah.
lot of the time. There's no harm in being like, I'd really love to see an emotional scene from this actor doing well, and then you get that. It's like, yeah.
These are the kind of like weighty like statements that they have to inject. It's not what they wanted; it's what they could have wanted. It's like
what they needed.
No. It's just like It's just things contradict. Things are crap. Dialogue doesn't. It's boring. It's pointless. It like why does it have to be this like thesis every single time?
Yeah, well, because
like some sort of philosopher's quote or something.
I feel like there's something to the idea that sometimes you don't give the fans what they're asking for, as opposed to you show them something and they're surprised to see this is actually what they want. You know, there's something to dig out of it in terms of maybe like the sequel to Alien being Aliens was considered maybe not a good move by a lot of people in some ways because it's not like Alien at all, but then it turns out to be like really in the same way. T2, it's like you can't make the bad guy from the first one the good guy. Like, would the fans even want to see something like that? And then it's like, no, they fucking loved it. You know, there's decisions that can come across as controversial, I think. And then it's like, no, turns out the fans actually really would like it. Fans can be like, like Heath Ledger's casting for Joker, right? It was just like, fuck that. What are you doing? Get us, someone we'd expect to fit the role, which I believe Jared Leto, by a lot of people, was seen as someone who would fit the role of Joker. And it was, there's plenty of ways that an artist can be like, trust me on this one, okay? Just give me a chance. I'm going to try and make this work. But then at the same time, there's nothing wrong with providing the audience a little bit of just what they're asking for. Which for us at this point, give us some character, please. I would outright consider it fan service if I could just see some characters. That'd be nice.
Art is meant to inspire new worlds, to push boundaries, to explore corners of the galaxy we never could have dreamed of. But ever since The Last Jedi dared to go outside of tradition...
Don't do that narrative.
Don't do that shit. Use your brain.
So many
just
people
a
run this
little bit.
narrative. The Last Jedi was experimental, different, and interesting, and since they hate that, we've now gone defensive and we only do safe stuff. It's such a lame myth. It's not true. The Last Jedi did a lot of copycatting of older Star Wars stuff. There was plenty of what you could call fan service in this. There was also a shit ton of really wonky subversion that was poorly written. That's what happened. I hate that there's like a simultaneous arguing of Luke is actually his most impressive in TLJ, where he comes through and he gives him his own life to, defend and reignite the Republic or the rebellion, blah, blah, blah. But then you also say, like, people couldn't handle Luke being portrayed in a way that was, lesser and weaker, and he didn't trust his own legacy and stuff. It's like, fucking pick one, alright? One of your narratives, because, like, both of those are bullshit. But, yeah, the Last Jedi is seen as, like, this sacred little guy who was just trying to make a difference. The artist was just trying to show you what Star Wars could become, okay? Could be that the answer to Rey's parentage was actually nothing. Could be that Snoke didn't mean shit all and just died. Could be that we could break all of the space battles forever by doing the stupid hyperspace thing. Could be we have a whole half-an-hour sequence about how capitalism is awful, and it's just, like, really clunky and weird. And everyone's like, why didn't you delete this? It would have made the film a lot shorter. Could be that we waste Finn completely as a character, just waste anything we built in Force Awakens that was remotely likable or interesting. What else? Could be that we could create a whole new character that was incredibly annoying and undermine Poe completely. Could be that we separate Rey, Poe, and Finn completely so that there's no building of their relationship. All of which, these are things that Rise of Skywalker tried to immediately compensate for. Do you guys remember the opening of Rise of Skywalker? They have the three of them walking and like shouting and talking about all their, like, we gotta get this, the ship's breaking this out, and the cameras spinning around them as if to tell us, like, look at these three, look at them go. And it's like, shut up.
Never spend any time with each other.
You didn't do what the OT did, and now you're trying to make up for it because you fucking had a shitty attempt at copying it. Yeah, obviously I have trauma related to TLJ, and that's okay.
That's okay. It's good to get that out of your system every once in a while.
5 years of therapy, we're still going.
Traditional expectations.
We're making good progress.
An outcry arose from the worst corners of the fandom.
Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck you.
Don't call Yoda the worst corners of the fan. Fair to him.
Star Wars seems to have been utterly terrified to be new, different, or interesting. The sheer mention of
it's not even, I'm trying to go the direction of, like, Ahsoka could have been safe, boring, and good. Like, you could have executed this shit normally I think, Raz, you talked about how, like, Herazar could have been as a general. She's got all this new power. She brings them into a mission. 2 of them die. And she deals with the fact that, like, how can she be given the power to just, at a whim, have someone die on her command? Like, that's something she goes through in the season. It's like, what's Sabine doing? It's like, she's responsible for destroying the galaxy, potentially. That's obviously something you could have her deal with. What's Ahsoka dealing with? Like, well, I would probably want to watch all of Clone Wars and Rebels to come up with something I think is suitable. But if we run with what was clearly attempted, is that we give her insecurities about being a mentor, and we make it so that she loses to Baylan. We do all the shit that I was talking about in the video. Like, if you did all of that, and the show could still be considered safe, because they all complete their arcs, and they're all still healthy and okay, and that Thrawn makes it to back to the guys, it could still be good. Still be entertaining. You can still bait your stupid Mortis stuff, too.
Tatooine should be exciting.
I don't like sand.
Instead, it's so overused that it just makes me roll my eyes at this point. Meanwhile, it should be downright thrilling to hear mentions of Luke. But each time he gets shoehorned in, another hunk of that excitement gets sacrificed to the Sarlacc pit.
Was Luke even mentioned in this show?
I don't think he was mentioned.
Oh, I don't even think so. Yeah, it was one of our big problems.
Yeah, it was dumb as fuck that they were like, they're talking about, what was his name? The one from Rebels that trained Ezra?
Kanan.
Yeah, like, he got this little section that's clearly only meant to go, do you remember Kanan? Kanan did this. Yes, he did. That's what he did. Yes. And that was that. And it's just like, why hasn't Luke been mentioned at all?
The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, each one of these series had so much opportunity to push the boundaries of the universe in which they exist. That's the whole point of introducing television into an existing film franchise.
I don't agree. I don't think you have to push boundaries. I think that the fact that it's so shittily written, we're looking for reasons beyond the fact that it's shittily written. It's just like Marvel. You know what it is? You didn't push boundaries. Like, not necessarily.
No, you just wrote a shit story with shit characters and a bad plot, and lots of things didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
By adding long-form storytelling into your sagas, you have the opportunity to explore parts of your galaxy that have never been touched, or to give more meaning to an already beloved character's journey.
Which wouldn't be necessarily exploring new things, you know?
No.
And which would also be
In
okay.
fact, Dave might say, that's what I'm doing here with Ahsoka.
Oh, he would absolutely make that argument, yeah. For sure.
Instead, Lucasfilm has squandered most of their opportunities in hanging out on Tatooine some more.
So this is the moment where I'd be like, yeah, where have you been? Like, that's they've been squandering this shit since they bought it.
For years. Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, IGN's Clint Gage said that Star Wars just feels like unboxing videos now.
It's kind of funny.
And I absolutely hate that he was right.
The Force provides you with insight, but it does not give one all the answers.
Fucking hell. I hate lines like that so much.
Oh, this is a profound thing that was said. No,
Yes.
it wasn't.
The Force doesn't tell you everything. Like yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that
agree.
that's ever been a perspective that's been espoused.
Ahsoka was announced, I was ecstatic. A whole show about our girl. She was going to find Thrawn and do whatever she could to stop him. Sure, she'd probably fail, but she'd fight. Rally the troops and fight again. She'd carve her own path outside of the shadow of her master and do everything she could to keep the galaxy.
It's so funny because Dave would be like, what do you mean? She did. That's what happened.
She did. Yeah.
You guys just hating to hate, IGN.
Safe. Instead, we got a whole finale centered on stormtrooper zombies because, more toys.
Oh yeah, I can imagine people will be picking up the zombie stormtroopers.
Zombie stormtrooper toys, yeah.
Meanwhile, the last we saw of Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll, 2 wildly interesting new characters.
Let's
okay,
Shin
we can explain this.
Wildly interesting.
It is wildly flavorful to have, like, you know, a banana when you've just had nothing at all for your whole life, right? It would be like an insane taste. And I assume that's what she's getting at, is we had nothing at all from anyone, And then we had a character. We said this on the coverage. We have Balin who tells us his interests, his values. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's wild.
But I guess the thing that I would add in is like, let's not put Shin in the mix. She's not interesting at all. It's Balin who's a little bit
Nothing
interesting
about Shin.
I was
Shin
gonna
is
say
a
I don't
nobody.
even know what I would say about Shin.
Barely says anything.
She's a little confused. She's kind of Kylo level right now. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yep.
Balin's the only interesting one outside of Hu Yang, but like the reasoning for both of them is very complicated and specific. It's not impressive.
Yep.
Was them just standing off in the distance kicking their feet, their arcs sacrificed in favor of undead soldiers.
I don't even know, like, Dave just doesn't give a shit, really. He was just like, I'll sort them out next time. Or I'll give them some other vague things to say and do. It always feels like passing the time. It never feels like he's got a goal.
Yep.
Not a moment of stakes acknowledged or reckoned with, not a single narrative arc fulfilled, and no real climax to be had. Just a 6-episode stepping stone to something else. What a bummer. For more Star Wars, check out why recasting Balin's goal is
okay, that's so. All right, so now I need to know what did they actually
Well,
score?
wait, because I've got the image, right? So this is funny because this is something I already knew about, and I think a lot of people knew about it. IGN are just funny. They're a constant source of hilarity, but whenever they get a take like this, by the way, which was pretty solid, we mostly agree with a lot of that. You might be like, well, is IGN like fixing themselves up? And it's like, well, the first thought is like, wait a minute, what did IGN even think about Ahsoka when it came out? Check it out.
Oh my, that's hilarious.
Gee, that was a 9 after that. Okay.
That's the finale episode, by the way.
10.
Finale
It's a
episode.
9.
9 out of 10. A 9.
This Angry Joe shit.
a 9 out of 10. 9.
It's such a like, I'm sorry, what the hell? What's going on? It's like you just copied all the talking points from the other people. You thought it was a 9? Like,
now, to be fair, this
different
could be
writers.
someone completely different to this lady who
you gotta sort that out. You can't have like a source of a channel having
you can't, exactly.
this shit doesn't make any sense.
Talking about how bad the finale is when, as far as your publication is concerned, the finale was damn near flawless.
Star Wars Ahsoka comes to an excellent conclusion in The Jedi, The Witch, and The Warlord, with quiet emotional scenes paired with complex fights from director Rick Famuyiwa. The season finale manages to complete satisfying arcs for all of its characters while still setting up a big cliffhanger ending.
Fucking hell.
Fuck off.
9 out of 10. 9.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
They pretty much nailed it. There's not much more they need to do.
90% of 100%.
What did they give the episodes throughout the season, out of curiosity?
Presumably lower than that, because they always go fucking ham on finales, right?
Well, hold on, I'll look it up. Just give me a second.
No problem.
What did they give Ahsoka throughout
the full season review by Samantha Nelson? 8 out of 10. Great.
Okay, so that's a full season review, so...
Is that the person who made this video?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I doubt the person who reviewed that is the person who just did the video we saw, but IGN probably need to have a talk with each other about how this works. Because I don't know if they know, but IGN scores are seen as IGN scores. They're not seen as IGN person 1, person 2, and person 3.
No, exactly. Nobody thinks about it that way. Well, they gave episode 5 and 9.
Oh, fucking course. Well, to be fair, she may have given that one a 9 too. She even admitted like it got to her.
Right. I'm just trying to find a nice, helpful list that just has them. Episodes 1 and 2 got a 7 out of 10. I just want to get them. Give them to me in order. Yeah. So episodes 1 and 2 got a 7 out of 10. I don't know why it's so hard. I'm just trying to find them like in a sequential order, but they're not listed that way. Hold on.
Where you're like finding tweets and stuff.
No, I'm just trying to find them. Okay, here we go. Here's more of a list. So episode, I'll just pull them up in order. Okay, so episodes 1 and 2 were a 7. Episode 3 got an 8.
Jeez.
Remember, episode 3 was half of it was them flying around in their fight with. Remember, when they were going with the
spiders?
That was an 8. Okay, episode 4, which was them in the forest, got given a 6.
I don't even know the
And
logic behind
this
these.
is the description. Ahsoka, episode 4, Fallen Jedi, features excellent lightsaber fights and big plot twists brought down by flat, cliche dialogue.
That's the show.
That's the whole show, yeah. But
Yeah,
whole
it's
show.
thing. And then, of course, episode 5 was a 9 out of 10. Episode 6 got given a 9 out of 10. Wow, okay. Episode 7 got a 7 out of 10. Which, yeah, I guess that explains that, the season as a whole got an 8 out of 10. That seems like it basically averages out, but there were a few 9s in there. There was at least 3 9s, right? Yeah, 3 9s out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, damn, man, there's not much you could have done to make it better. And meanwhile, they've got this video out talking about how basically the whole
It's a
season is
disaster.
worthless.
Yeah.
It is funny because, again, it's different people, but people don't think about it that way when it comes to IGN.
Well, and it's like,
Damn, man,
maybe
bro.
IGN stash have a little chat, see what they think about this show compared to it, because, yeah, like, to simultaneously from a similar company source say that there's fantastic character arcs all being finished perfectly versus there's nothing for the characters at all. Like, shit.
Would you say that any episodes of Follow the House of Usher were at least a 9 out of 10?
I'm just really careful about 9.
I want to
Because
rewatch
like
it.
a very,
It's high. That's the thing. It's 9's a high ass number.
9's a very exclusive little club.
Yeah, and then 10 is like the VIP of the VIP of the VIP, you know, it's hard to get into that room. But yeah, I don't know, that's just funny, and it's sort of reflection of the state of media criticism, I guess, because she was even going back there all the way to Mando Season 2, being like, we're covering a lot. Star Wars in a sorry state, but a state that is recognizable, because Marvel's going through the exact same thing. Hence our coverage of Loki, which is coming in the form of EFAP TV. But for now, I guess we can tell you that we didn't think episodes 1 and 2 were very good, guys. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was pretty bad.
Episode 1 was pretty bad too. It's just that
It was pretty bad.
We coming off Ahsoka, we were dazzled a little bit by the artistry of, you know, things outside of writing, basically.
Where does Loki even go after this point? Didn't they like unlock
Anywhere
the
at
multiverse?
once.
You know,
It'll
it'll
go anywhere, do
multiverse.
anything. It's all just like whatever happens, man. It's
It'll
all
be-
just
it'll
so
be
there's
great.
no structure to the world anymore. It's just like,
Sometimes
whatever.
you can just invent a character called Brad who has all the information you need, and then they spend a whole episode chasing him and torturing him until they get the information they need at the end. That's something you could do. Takes time.
Oh.
Also,
Hey.
Sylvie's in McDonald's, and that's something. It's going great. 2 episodes.
Multiverse McDonald's.
Yeah. Not even clear on exactly how she got there or why she sort of ended up there. She's ended up at McDonald's, and Mobius like awkwardly says, like, I thought you were coming here to ambush us or something, but it turns out all we got was a really great meal. You're just like, yeah, okay.
Are you memeing or
No,
is
that's
that actually?
that's essentially the line, and it was just like, ugh.
Okay, that's pretty.
Yeah, the line is, "Boy, McDonald's sure is good. You should eat McDonald's."
And then he thumbs up to the screen.
That's cool.
And he blinks.
I love.
And then
I
he
love-
goes, "Ka-chow."
Throughout the scene, he keeps moving the shake that he's drinking to make sure the icon of McDonald's is facing the camera.
The
'cause,
logo, yeah, the logo's always got to make
Mhm.
a nice camera. It's very
Good stuff.
important.
You have that to look forward to, as well as everything in the future of all of these wonderful franchises. Well, yeah, that's man, we did 2 videos, and we probably in record time, or at least older EFAP time, I'd imagine. But we're probably going to wrap up there. It was not going.
You got
to...
2 videos, right, guys? You got 2 videos.
We gotta
Well,
remember.
they've got many videos.
I was gonna say the
recently.
thing that they're gonna start spamming frustrations is like, go watch the Saw 5, Saw 4, Saw 3, Saw 2, Saw 1, or the 4 newest episodes of Ahsoka TV catch-ups that are coming out, which we need to make more of as well. But the thing is, me and Fringy got to go back to the editing room to get all this stuff out for you guys, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but we've got several editors working, expending themselves to limits to get these things done on time because we want to get them done on time. At the same time, we're trying to get these fucking spooky games streamed for Halloween, which is funny because I've taken up most of October with Sekiro, Liza P, and I don't know if this has been mentioned yet, but me and Matt were talking about it. We'd like to do it, so we're probably going to. We're going to stream Lords of Fallen together, and what I mean by together is that we're going to do something that we've never done before just to see what kind of funny things could happen. Streaming the game in a call at the same time, but, campaign. So that we make different decisions, see how long it takes to go through different things. Probably going to be on Monday. So there's that as well, right? You're getting streams a lot, so don't you worry. But like I said, you got Loki, EFAP TV coming, and I'm trying to sort out the next arc while this arc is coming out with the Source stuff. And you still got plenty of episodes, okay? So go find more. We've also got something else on the way that I don't want to announce just yet because I don't think it's fully ready, but it's almost there. But yeah, also, thank you so much, Solar Sands, for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really great talking to you, and I appreciate all the insight on Mr. Kincaid as well as some other bits and bobs about art. And of course, you seem to have an investment slightly in Star Wars, which worked out. Like to talk about a bit of Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Pretty fun to talk about art. I like the discussion we had. If you guys ever have a art-related video or something you want me to even just get some more context for, I'm happy to come on. Whatever happens. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was
fun. And that's a fair 2 questions. Why were there no comment showcase in Ahsoka minis? The reason was we were struggling to be able
terrible. We hate them.
We were struggling to get them out on time with the editing as they were, let alone having the comment showcase sections, which obviously there's cutting down animations and visual references that are important to support points and stuff, so that if we put them in, I'm not sure if we're going to anymore, if we're going to be able to get these things out at a reasonable time, as opposed to, I imagine you guys would be pretty upset if we only had coverage up to episode 6 of Ahsoka out right now. You'd be like, guys, the show's been over for like several weeks. It's like, I know, but we had lots to edit. Instead of them coming out relatively quickly after them. But of course, I mean, the comment section's still there for you wonderful people to enjoy, to comment back and forth, check out with each other, discuss, and at least do super chats. We're not. We could obviously watch more videos if we were going to continue the stream, but or do super chats, whatever have you. The problem is that we've got to get back to editing, basically, both me and Free. There's stuff I want to do that I can't do because there's stuff I have to do that I can't do because there's other stuff I have to do. I'm being vague on purpose in case any of these projects fall through for whatever reason. Trying to do my best to catch up. While also, I gotta fucking finish Sekiro too. I'm gonna try and do that tomorrow. So, you can see that as well. I think I heard someone say 3 bosses. I believe that's what I've got left. And then, of course, yes, me, Rags, and Fringy look for opportunities to record all of the super chats. We'll properly label them so they match the episodes, too. Yeah, I think that's everything. I don't think there's... Rags, Fringy, if I missed... is there anything else?
I don't think so.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
So, yes.
Good recap.
Those are all the updates for stuff to come. Obviously, Halloween's the busiest time of year for EFAPers in general. You got, according to... Where have I got the image of the releases? I can't remember how that X was drawn anymore. I think you're getting a Saw on the 18th, the 20th, the 24th, the 29th, and the 30th. I think that's the rest of them. And then peppered in between will be Loki, Super Chat catch-ups, and regular episodes, of which we've got a shit ton to do. Good God, the amount of guests and videos I got to get sorted and scheduling. But it'll be a fun month. So thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it. The kind messages and donations, what have you. We shall see you in the future, whenever that may be. But for now, sleep well or, be awake well. Either one. It's totally fine. Bye-bye.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
bye.
We'll see you later.